updates of return policies. And that's our biggest engine of growth. People come to our site looking for return policies and go through the funnel and convert users. About 4 weeks ago, while I was in India, Matt Amit is the editor at Due.Love, and he wrote a great piece about top 10 apps for shopping in preparation for the shopping season. And we were featured as one. The US News on the street picked up that article, and we got a ton of interest from both of those. Then about a week and a half ago, we were on TV in Arizona on a 2-minute segment. Several hundred users from there. And just last night, I was telling Shashi, I was up all night because something happened in New York. Users are just nonstop coming in and registering. So I feel we at least identified one source of growth, which is the return policy. So the next few weeks or months, we'll be focusing on that area. So this last year has been the best part of my life. And I started at the start of weekend. Excuse me, all the staff organizers, Jeff and Shashi and Travis and everybody else for huge support. Anytime I put an update on Facebook, these guys are the first ones. Even if I put the silliest update out there, they're the first one to like it. So can't thank enough to these guys. And I want to give a huge round of applause.
So Doctor, what kind of advice can you give, other than pivoting many times? What advice would you give to everyone that just went through Startup Week and hear about how they should proceed forward? What should they do tomorrow and then in the next week and the next month?
Yeah, I would repeat what Shashi said. Build the effing product and keep at it. I mean, legal and co-founders and everything else will fall in place eventually, but in my opinion, or at least in my experience, the product, having a great product that your customers love will make a big difference.
So I'll ask one more question before I ask the audience for questions. But what's been the hardest thing for you in Return Guru since Startup Week ended a year ago for you?
For me, balancing my family and my lifestyle with this. I was a corporate guy this time of weekend. So I have 2 little boys, 3.5 years.
Another question right here.
Do you plan on continuing to be employed, or are you too old to
Oh, that milestone keeps moving. Every time you have a huge surprise of the growth, I feel like I could quit. But eventually that will.
All right, let's give Rocky a round of applause. Thank you for being here. All right, so is everyone pulling out their phone to download Return Guru? Everyone's doing it today. All right, before we jump into presentations, I just wanted to remind everybody again about the great sponsors that we have both globally and locally that make this event happen. So, of course, our global sponsors, we've been talking to the attendees about the benefits you get there. Locally, again, some great sponsors, and we've been lucky enough to have wonderful support in Portland. So I thank each and every one of them. And we ask that, as you go about your day, tomorrow and the rest of the week and year, just make sure if you see these guys, if you run into them somewhere, thank them, use their products, let them know that you appreciate the fact that they support the startup ecosystem in Portland. Also a reminder, if you want to read about what we're doing here, if you want to watch it online or see some photographs, we have media sponsors. So that's a great place to go to kind of get some of this information. Of course, we'll link to all this on our Facebook and Twitter, so you can follow it there and have one source for everything. All right, you guys ready to start pitching or presenting? All right, so here's the way it's going to work tonight. Each team gets 5 minutes to present. After you have finished presenting, the judges will have up to 5 minutes of questions, answers, and feedback. Unfortunately, we cannot take questions from the audience tonight because we have a large number of presentations to get through. As you can see, we have 13 of them. We will take a break halfway through because I know we've got some great beer to drink, and you guys probably want to get up and stretch your legs, and other things, so we'll do that. And the order of presentations is up here on the screen. This will go away here. As I talked about with our sponsors, we're lucky to have great support there. We're also have great support with our speakers, mentors, and judges. So I'd like to introduce you to our judges, Diane Frederick from Voyager Capital, Ben Rye from First Insight, and also of Thai Oregon. Shiva, I'm not going to try to pronounce, I apologize, I should have asked you sooner. And Josh, co-founder CEO.
So I can try to get the audio going.
They were sitting up here up front, and I'm sure afterwards, they're going to have some great questions for you when you present. They might be around for a few minutes afterwards. We'd like to thank them for being here. So without further ado, I would like to invite up Speaker Lee. Yeah.
Hello everyone. I'm myspace.com/Brian.
Check out the
You might remember me previously. I've always been there. I have a question for you though. How many of you know? How many of you know what I'm about to say? Right down there. You know why? Because you're probably not reading your tweets, or you're probably reading your tweets. That's the problem. Well, today, I'm going to change that for you. You're welcome. The product I'm going to introduce is called Speakerly. This is the team. This team, you should go and thank every one of these people afterwards, including me. So, you're going to like it. Let's talk about Twitter, though. Twitter is the biggest... It's got the most information, the most relevant data. If you want to be relevant, if you want to be in the know, you're probably on Twitter. Sure, it doesn't have as big of a base as Facebook, but the people that are on there like to know things as they go. They like to be, they're the cool people, they're relevant, right? It's got a lot. So what's the problem with Twitter? Well, let's see. It's because it's relevant data, it's real-time data. It's not always convenient to be on your phone looking at your device, right? Am I right? And I like some of you guys, so I kind of want you to be around to... You have two options. You can either, be unsafe and probably not with us, or you're just not going to be that relevant anymore. You're going to check it later, all right? So, Speakerly, it solves the problem. It's really simple. I don't know why nobody saw this before. It reads you your tweets. Right? That's all it does. Let's talk about some of the features real quick. All right. So, like I said, it's a really simple app that reads you your tweets. This allows you to multitask, right? Does things like reads your feed, right? Reads someone else's feed. You can mix feeds together, right? You can use hashtag search terms. It's going to be socially integrated. It's going to be great if you're a developer and you want to work. And actually, that's originally how the idea came about. Is I thought, hey, it'd be hilarious to get some of my feeds read by a computer voice. That sounds funny to me. But we've been using it a while, and I was surprised to find out it's actually really useful, too. So I'm really excited about it. It's been fun doing this. Does anybody want to see it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I want to hear
We're
it.
going to show it a little bit.
CNN breaking news. Controversial Indian politician Baldackery has died, his spokesman says. From romance excerpt. Gripping his shoulders, she raised her hips in glorious surrender to the first wave of letters. According to Conan O'Brien, I think my dog may be trying to slowly poison me with her ass gas. I'm afraid to sleep.
Wow, so we got a lot of time left. Does that sound pretty cool? Am I right? I gotta tell you, it sounded really goofy, and I've talked to people, and there's like this weird thing like a computer talking to me. We've been using this, and I gotta be honest, I'm surprised. It's actually fun to use. It's cool. It's actually useful. It was a joke idea to begin with because I thought it would be fun, like a startup project kind of thing. But I gotta tell you, it's actually been really useful. I mean, we've been testing it with the feed going, and then he puts a tweet in, and then it like pops up into the queue and shows up on top, just like moments later. It's really cool. So I'm really excited. I can't wait till you guys try it too. Oh, sorry. Oh, we did some survey. I thought we were over. I was really surprised to find out that over half, like 60% of the people here, are cool. And most of you people that are cool, like I didn't know, I've got a good chance of being cool, would actually listen to your tweets being read, and you'd find out, or you'd pay for it too. I thought that was really shocking. So, these are some great things people have said about it. It's not even out yet, right? So how are we going to make money on this? We're going to give it to you for free. It's going to have some ad content, but there's going to be a paid model, no ads. I think the computer voice is pretty cool about it.
First one, so thank you guys for going first. Judges, I'll turn it over to you.
So, I'll start that. So I think it's a great idea. But what's the barrier to entry for somebody else? I mean, doing that.
I mean, I guess there's not really. But it's such like a sort of niche thing that it doesn't seem like it would really help them to do this like very specific thing. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have like that one feature on my mind. But I think it's really useful. I mean, I think a lot of people would initially think that sounds kind of weird, but when you actually use it, it's cool. And so you never know. Maybe by the time it catches on and it's huge, they may say, "Oh crap, we should really do that." So. I don't think anybody read it. We walked around with a laptop and had it playing. Everybody just sat and listened. But I mean, we do have the UI, which everybody, it's like to show, hey, it's kind of slides. But most of the focus was on sort of like some of the animations that would sort of fly by instead of actually like read versus.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody could speak to that better.
So to the customer validation, we actually would present the site, and then we would actually then show it to them without the site, and then just have the volume playing, them actually just listening and hearing the tweet. And the fact that we hear is people actually weren't laughing at just the robot voice. They funny content, that's something that we heard. Yeah, they were responding to it, and they actually were really while they were actually not looking at Twitter.
Well, a lot. Sorry. I mean, I mostly use Twitter because I think it's funny. But I have lots of friends that use Twitter that I also get information from that stay really current with things that are really topical. In fact, a lot of jokes that happen that are possibly controversial or, those fleshed out in the Twitter verse before I use them and still be cooler than everybody else because I'm the person to say in my circle, which makes me sort of rude. Okay.
So one of the things that you do in the lead is that you skip very quickly. And a very linear, sequential readout of it can be pretty annoying. You start listening to something and say, I don't care what that is.
Yeah. Well, originally I thought what would make it, well, for me personally, is, yeah, that some of the feeds, that there were some buttons up there that were pre-selected feeds.
And that's what they were able to generate in registration. That's real registration. That's real money.
So can you say more about the partner?
It's a Center for Learning at the Portland Children's Museum, and they're experts in Reggio Emilia. That's their main, it's an emergent curriculum, but that's their main content.
And who is the decision maker there?
It's the director of the school, for the School for Learning. The Children's Museum has 3 parts, but it's the Center for Learning.
So what is your product? Is it just the website right now?
It's essentially outsourcing we're a channel partner for these folks with existing content, and it's just a website.
So you're not going to actually put their content online. They already have it online.
They tested a single course themselves 4 weeks ago. They concluded it was a lot of work, a lot of hassle, and didn't meet their sort of standards that they hold themselves to on-site content, and so they're looking for help.
So how would you bring them customers?
So the initial model, or the initial test for this course, is just to leverage their existing network, folks who have signed up for their bulletin boards, for their newsletters. Long term, we want to build a brand, second step, that is going to be recognized as bringing authentic providers with high quality content online. So again, we hope to we have an independent brand recognition outside of just the provider side. But for the next 4 or 5 weeks, we're just trying to deliver an E-line course. The long term.
Do you know how much money you make out of that?
If we make, I mean, we think they're charging on site for $200 for each of the courses. It's actually a 2-day course for a total of $400. They feel strongly that the online course should be charging very close to the same price. There's some cost savings. You're providing meals online, but it's pretty close to that price point. So a 50% of revenue share, which for the test we're agreeing to. I think if this scales, we won't be getting 50%, but for the test, we're going to get 40,000 on $400 if you get 100 to total, or you get 200 doing the 200 each. Get 50% of that. It's just going to be my development cost in getting that up.
What becomes repeatable? Because as I understand the business, that you're earning revenue to take what's essentially offline content and make it online, and that's like a services business, and you have a sense of what the niche market size would be if you could get 1% of it, 1.7 million. What do your costs look like, and how can you make that scalable? How can you make that investment scalable?
Can you repeat the question?
Sorry. So the question is, how do you scale, and particularly, what's your cost model look like when you scale there? I'm not sure we know that completely, frankly, at this point. I'm targeting leveraging existing content. I'm not doing a lot of specialized coding out of the gate. So really, a lot of those things are available for free right now. To do a quality product online, I'm going to need a developer and a designer. So there is some cost there to do the next course. Long term, I don't think I have that nailed down yet. To be perfectly candid.
just helping me understand what's involved in signing up to partner. Did Second Steps exist before Startup Weekend, or were you able to close that deal just this weekend?
Just close it this weekend. Did not exist.
Okay.
I will say one other thing about how I think we can ramp. Focused on preschool online courses this weekend. The next level is parents who are interested in the same content. Either they're stay-at-home parents or grandparents. The next level beyond that is if you really can establish a brand, a company with the promise of bringing this quality, alternative online content, then you actually might move beyond the early childhood education space and look at healthcare, folks who are interested in alternative approaches to education in any given field. Again, always kind of focusing on the 20%, the alternative, but it's got to be authentic, it's got to be high quality. This isn't the random Google search. This is, a brand that has a promise of delivering that high quality alternative.
So you made a call on the weekend and they bought it?
They did. There was some pre-existing relationships, but the companies knew this weekend.
Okay.
So you have time. So you took content that was already sort of offline and you took it from an expert to possibly a disaggregated set of people who are going to consume it over time, right? Now, can you address where you might have content that is very, very disaggregated, that it's not coming out of a museum or some pre-existing organization, but there are lots of different people creating the content. Is there some way to channel that through what you're looking for?
I think so. I mean, it's basically you're trying to find high quality content that does not have a home online and putting it in an e-learning environment. So you have multiple contributors to the content. If that's what you're getting at, I mean, if it meets sort of our guardrails, high quality, and not being adequately addressed by the big players, then we go after it. I haven't focused on that kind of design of content in my initial conception, but then it's a good question.
So next up is BitTrails, and on deck is Ohana. Just to let you guys. All right. Yep. So Ohana, you're up next. So if you guys could be on deck and ready to go in the hallway out this way to my right. I was just thinking about something. Did Speakerly, does that work with MySpace? Yeah. Sweet. All right. Are you guys ready? All right, we got to get going here, guys. You're not judges, so I get to cut you off.
My name is Ryan Casey, and I am the founder of BitTrails. Every time you visit a website that has a Facebook like button or a Google Plus button or a tweet button on it, Twitter and Google and Facebook get information about you. And they use this information to build up a profile of your tastes and interests in order to market to you better. Now, as you're using the internet throughout the day, you leave behind these reams and reams of personal data. And these companies, I mean, this is valuable data. These companies are making a huge profit off of it. But it's data that you've generated and that you have access to, because, I mean, you're making it, right? So that's why I founded BitTrails. BitTrails finds relationships and hidden patterns in your personal media data, in whatever data you're keeping track of. If you're tracking nutrition, if you're tracking fitness, you can feed in Facebook data, Twitter data. And it helps you come to better self-understanding, to become a happier, healthier, more productive person. For example, if, say, John is feeding his Facebook data and his Fitbit data into our system, it can tell John that there's this person that he talks to, and after he talks to them, he tends to not exercise. Like, there are these days where he doesn't exercise, and it tends to be after he's talked to this person. And so our system helps John figure out that, hey, this person is kind of draining him, kind of demotivating him, and knocking him off this course. Or, for example, let's say that Jane is feeding her Foursquare and her Facebook data into our system. Our system can tell Jane that she tends to be a lot more productive, spend a lot less time on Facebook when she's at this one coffee shop, like Southeast Grind, perhaps. So the point of BitTrails is to help users gain insight into their personal data, the kind of insight that up to this point only Facebook and Google have been able to take advantage of.
So millions of consumers engage in social media and other networks and leave an enormous amount of information online. Based on our secondary research, we found that 75% of users engage in Facebook, 35% have Google+, 25% have Twitter, and 17% engage in some sort of blogging. A similar survey was done by Mintel identifying dependency of technology by age. They found that millennials, 18 to 34-year-old, were amongst one of the highest users of technology. Based on our primary research, we found that so for our customer validation, we use online surveys, intercept surveys, and testimonials to find out what exactly our consumers were looking for. Based on our primary research, we found that 71% of consumers were interested in our product. We also found that the price range that they were willing to pay was 99 cents to $12. And the reason for that, for the wide range of, the reason for that was because each customer was deriving a different type of value out of the product. We also found that consumers didn't really know about all the information that they were leaving out there online and showing businesses their online activity. But they were interested to find the different connections and correlations between how activity A affects activity B. So what do consumers want to know? They want to know what is their productivity, how to keep down their stress levels, how to make them more happy. So we can do that by transmitting insightful data and giving them information that will help them. And Ryan will show us the demo.
All right, we have about 30 seconds to do a quick demo of this thing. So I will show you what I can. So this is an example of a user who is feeding their Xbox Live data and who's tracking the grades and feeding their Fitbit and their Last.fm data into the system. So if you can go to that. So you can see that this person, and I did the design for this, our designer bailed on us today, so blame me. You can see that this user burns 20% more calories when they're working out to Lady Gaga. We have a pretty good chunk of, the question was how much of this is already built. We have a pretty good chunk of this built. We have the correlation engine, the thing that actually finds inferences between data, a basic version of it. We can't do like time shifted data yet, but we can find correlations. We found a correlation between Apple stock and this Apple stock and I think it was QQQ, an inverse relationship in that stock data using that engine today. So we have that. Primarily right now we're just building data streams and trying to get that hooked into that and build a good user experience around that. Right. That's true. The example we gave wasn't that, and it was primarily because of the accessibility of the data. We just ran that out of curiosity to see how well our engine was working. So, sorry, the question was, right, the question was what kind of competition is there? And we found that, we found a couple of possible competitors. We found Wolfram Alpha. We found, I guess, Fitbit was one identified by our marketing team as one potential competitor. Most of these are about generating data. They're not about bringing insights to that data. They're not about taking data from many, many diverse sources and then analyzing across those streams to bring meaning to that data. So as far as I can tell, the space there is fairly sparse. Certainly not aimed at the person on the street.
Thank you.
All right, good job. All right. So while Ohana comes up, I'll note I think we found we should all be buying QQQ stock. Is that the lesson since Apple is tanking lately? That was not advice, by the way. No one call the SEC or anything like that. All right. So we have Ohana up next, and then on deck is Foot in the Door. So Foot in the Door team, if you guys could be ready over here to my right, because you'll be up within 10 minutes at the latest.
Go or?
Yep, just go.
All right, good evening, everyone. All right, so we all know moving sucks, and we're Ohana. We want to connect qualified applicants with property managers. To start things off, Colin's going to go through some of our market analysis.
Thanks, Corey. I'm Colin. So we conducted a survey earlier yesterday, and we were looking at renters and what their behavior is and how they go about renting apartments or houses. And we found out overwhelmingly that they move frequently, and when they do move, they look at multiple apartments and they apply to multiple apartments. And when we asked if they were looking for a lower cost way to go about doing this, that overwhelmingly they were interested in it. So again, moving sucks, and applying to apartments isn't any better. You know, it's a cumbersome process. You have to fill out a form, and it's not enjoyable for anyone, for you that have to fill out multiple forms or for the person that has to process it. At Ohana, what we're doing is we're creating a single online profile. You have to fill it out once. You can apply to multiple apartments, and in doing so, you can apply to apartments cheaper. And if you're applying to apartments, what we're doing is instead of paying a $30 or $40 fee to apply to an apartment, we'll charge $20. If you own apartments, what we're doing is we're presenting a dashboard of pre-qualified potential tenants based on different criteria that you define. If you want them above a certain credit score, or you only want people with a good rental history, or anything like that, no evictions, we'll provide all of them pre-qualified to you. And essentially, I'll let Corey talk about our business model here.
All right, so we recognize the fact that the big business here is going B2B. So we want to incentivize the users coming to the site by partnering with the property managers for things like discounts and perks for discovering their listings and applying via our site. And of course, there's the standard service to the users who are providing this data and providing their renter profile and their personal profile for the application of the convenience of doing everything electronically from a single profile. Think of it like Google Maps for data mining, where it's really users who submit the data, but it's Google that takes advantage of all the information. And then, of course, for property owners, the big item is filling the vacancies. The longer a vacancy stands, the more it costs. So for every lead that turns into a placement, we're going to charge them 25% of 1 month's rent. Our current status, We did not get as far as we would like, but we validated our customer base. We looked at our competitive landscape, and we've reviewed and worked with over 60 people, talked to about 15 property managers and owners, and I'd like to show you a little bit of what we got today. It's just a standard workflow. It's kind of a spy cam footage here. Sorry for that. You can see the form's super simple, progress bar on the bottom. Everything's self-explanatory. If you filled out a form online before, it's familiar interface with explanations per card. Think flashcards. Point and click, simple, boom, boom, boom. You go through the process, go through every piece, pay, and you're done. And it's submitted. So what are the next steps? The reporting engines. It's the obvious benefit here for the users is that the single report going to the property managers. We want to integrate those. We couldn't get access this weekend for the obvious security reasons. We have the technology defined. We have the cost defined. We just couldn't put it in place this weekend. We want to finalize the various dashboards, the status reporting for the users and the sorting for the property managers. And of course, there's the partner outreach and engaging the property managers on be on our site or take a standardized application that we can send you via snail mail. Beyond that, we need developers and product development and UX and UI and marketing trials. Let's get it out there and get it used. We're Team Ohana, and we want to make moving suck less.
So, I do some real estate, and I've talked to you over the weekend. How many of these moving parts did you actually figure out? There's a lot of stuff in the background. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do in terms of the background check, credit check, so on and so forth. Have you figured out what things you need to connect with in order to make this a complete solution?
Are you talking? So the question was, there's a lot of moving parts. Have we really evaluated the landscape of all the pieces we need to put into the puzzle? Are you asking in regards to the technology or in regards to the different pieces of information?
Well, what are you going to give what are you going to provide the property owner in terms of information?
Okay. So the property owner will receive a consolidated report with all your current information and past information for up to the last 5 years, and as well as a federal and state background report and criminal report, and a Equifax, Experian, and now I can't remember the third major one. TransUnion. TransUnion reports, all consolidated into one document.
Who's doing that for you?
So there's two services we've pinpointed. Axion, which runs data mining on the background and criminal reporting, and Meritus Credit Report Systems, which actually processes all of the information and stores it on their servers to be compliant with the various credit reporting storage requirements.
I'm curious how you got to the 25% of the first month's rent.
That came after talking. So how did we come to the 25% rating? That came after talking to the various property managers and property owners. That we even had some quotables that were, I would give you a quarter of my rent. I'd give you this much money, and it turns out to be around 20 to 25%.
For what? I mean, what were they saying was worth the 25%?
If we can line up a placement for them before they even had to have a vacancy. That's through the matchmaking of
that
the
sounds like
profile.
A similar business model to any of these property sites online. So my question is, why aren't the property sites online doing this? Because they already have one side. They have both sides of the two-sided market, and you're building a two-sided market, and you already have the tenants or potential tenants there, and you already have the landlords putting submissions there. Why isn't this gap plugged right now?
We think part of it's user engagement, because in order to service the property managers, you have to have potential tenants willing to go in there in the first place. And the way that we'll engage them is through financial incentives. So, for example, if you're willing to source your next apartment through Ohana, potentially you could get half off your first month's rent. So we're providing an economic incentive for users to sign up for our service in order to provide a user base for the property owners.
If you're making 25% of the first month's rent and you're paying out half, that's a tough business.
That's, well, we'll work it out, but I think that I think that providing incentives on both sides
That's
is
what
key.
venture capital's for, by the way. They love doing that stuff.
Any more questions?
Yeah, so if you were to roll this out, like you just pointed out, I had a very related question, which is it's not too difficult to replicate what you're doing. So how do you think you'll stay ahead?
I think we'll stay. So how will we stay ahead? I think we'll stay ahead by having those partner relationships, by working from the bottom up rather than the top bottom. When you say B2B, you're thinking, okay, going after these multi-million-dollar property managers. We're going to work our way up from the small guys, medium guys, the regional property managers. We're going to start there and establish these relationships from the beginning.
All right, thank you very much. Good job. All right, great work. So next up, we have Foot in the Door. You guys can come on out now. Let's get ready. And on deck will be my self-trainer.
It's hard to pull these out in enough time between each one. I'm just trying to get one point down. Right. Are these bribes?
Just something to remember us by.
Thank you.
I see we have one of the larger teams up next.
All right.
Nice to see so many smiling faces. You guys must have had a good weekend, huh? Yeah, all right. Okay, you guys ready? Okay. Foot in the door. Who should I hand the mic to? All right.
Good evening. My name is Paige Hendricks, and I have the distinct honor of presenting you Foot in the Door. These people helped me build an amazing platform this weekend, and we are incredibly excited to talk to you about what it is that we do. We've all had problems finding internships or actually finding interns, and we wanted to solve that problem. So we worked this weekend to nail it down. We are connecting industries to interns, connecting passions to opportunities. So we started out by looking a little bit at the intern market and the internship market. And we said, okay, 75% of the employers that we talked to said, hey, we already have internship programs. And 70% of those interns that we talked to said, you know what, we've already had internship opportunities or we are seeking them. So what's the problem? Employers are telling us that it's incredibly expensive for them to actually recruit and match themselves with interns. And in addition to that, those companies that are small or medium-sized struggle to get that brand awareness among those who are seeking internships. Students find that websites that are currently in the market, like Intern Match or Intern U, actually are not getting to them in a very fast turnaround time. And they find that the system isn't as effective with matching them. All they need is a foot in the door. And that's where we come in. We provide folks opportunities to connect in the sectors and in the spaces where they can be most effective as interns. Let me tell you a little story. This is Tina Alvarez. Tina is a high school junior, and she wants to get into product development, but she doesn't really know how because she's only heard about it in class. That's where we come in. Tina sets up a nice user dashboard on Foot in the Door where she's able to not only line out her passions, educations, and skills, but she can see her matches, the active applications that she's put out, and how many people are viewing her profile. Well, this is great. What we find incredibly exciting is actually the company dashboard. So now we have Tina, who's hooked up with Nike. And Nike says, okay, great, we have all these interns, but which of them match us? How many of them match us by passion, by education, and skill set? And they can also look at an overall score. This actually speaks directly to some of the customer validation issues that we were finding when we were speaking to employers. When they were going out to these job fairs, they felt like they were getting all these interns who were applying, but they were not getting the matches to make them successful. And they felt like they were just kind of shooting in the dark. We eliminate that problem by really narrowing down the match. And this is the most exciting part. You get a job. You have an internship opportunity. So when we are matching Nike to Tina, Tina now has an opportunity to go forward and learn more about that skill, but also get the experience to make her somebody that not only maybe Nike would want to hire, but other companies as well. So you're probably understanding at this point that it's important, but is this actually validating some of the concerns that the customers put forth to us? And 100% of employers, 100% of them said yes. We need a more streamlined way to not only identify interns, but also match our company to them. And students, 94% of those that we surveyed said they would love to have a platform that was more focused, got back to them faster, and allowed them to find the specific niche where they fit best. So we started looking at the business model, and we said, okay, this is a fun idea, but is it actually going to make us any money? And so when we spoke to companies, what we found out is that they were willing to pay $50 per post. Now, companies are already paying huge sums of money to find interns. And we find 2.7 million searches per month on Google for the term internship. So we know that companies are willing to pay for it, but what's really exciting about what we do at Foot in the Door is that we create a network of interns and industries. We are out on the streets hustling and talking to those folks who have the students who need to be plugged into these programs. We have relationships with small, medium, and large-sized companies to connect kids where they need to be. And we want to imagine the possibilities with you. So what excites us is we think some companies are flying out interns multiple times to interview for the different groups within their big company. How about using this platform to coordinate and streamline their HR efforts? But even bigger than that, how about giving people opportunities to expand their skill set and try new jobs? We're Foot in the Door. We connect interns and industries, and we hope you'll join us.
So I've got the mic nearest me, so I'll start. 100% of how many?
100% of 20 businesses that we spoke with.
And what were those business sizes?
So I actually am going to kick that over to my validation folks who did that with some of the companies to explain that a little more. Simon?
Thanks. Yeah, so the question was, what were the sizes of the companies? We shot it out just to networks, HR networks, that kind of thing. So we didn't actually ask what size. We asked what their position was because we really were intent, do you actually control, do you have a speaking authority to the internship program at your company? So they were various sizes.
Okay.
So you said a couple of times that you'll help narrow the match. And
Say it again, I'm sorry.
You said a couple of times that you'll help narrow the match.
Yes.
But I didn't quite understand how that actually happens by the process that you walked us through.
Sure, absolutely. So we are still working out the algorithm to actually tie down how that will work out mathematically. But what we want to do is have people submit their dashboards and narrow down their specific passions or interests, their educational experience, and their skills. Companies are going to also post what their specific interests are, what skill sets you need, and also what type of education you need to be involved. Then, whenever they're able to connect, you are able to see, okay, how well do those things align? And that's where you get that company dashboard per candidate. Yes, sir?
Are there any other competing sites?
Pardon me?
Are there other competing sites that do that?
There are other competing sites. However, we found that, for example, Intern Match, which actually recently started in the region, is focusing on college graduates and kids with some kind of college experience. So we felt that that actually narrowed it down in a huge way, especially in the market where we are today, where people are, one, trying to get into a job market, and it's very hard, But also, too, we discovered that there are people trying to retool their careers because they can't find a job in the career where they're already at. And that's part of that imagining the possibilities for us, is thinking what's next.
Have you guys thought at all how you would launch this, what the initial go-to-market would be? So that, I mean, because this really is a dating game, right? So
Totally a dating
in terms of being able to get those initial employers and scaling that up enough that you got a rich enough database of opportunities, what would be that initial go-to-market?
Absolutely. So we had a really great conversation, and actually I'm going to turn this over because one of my colleagues said that he would love to talk about it.
My name's Akili. So I work at Oregon State's Leadership Institute right now, so I'm kind of embedded within the framework at OSU. I also have relationships with the Austin Entrepreneurship Program, as well as the College of Business at Oregon State. So the initial idea is to leverage those relationships to get those conversations started, and then we'll take it from there. So it's an easy, it's a warm market that allows us to get that initial foothold.
Does that, though, address how you get because as an example, I mean, you've got a room full of entrepreneurs here. I mean, that's all. We talk to these guys. It would seem that Portland would be a really interesting base to get started with all the early stage companies that are all looking for summer interns. And, you know, if you get a beachhead here in Portland, that might scale, right?
Perfect. So we actually had this conversation earlier. All right. So you just said exactly what we're going to actually do. Okay. Because I mean, you start where you are and then you take it from there.
Well, and actually one thing that I wanted to say about that too is we actually have already, part of this idea was inspired by what we were already hearing on the ground. I mean, this team came together and executed because we heard in our different industries, I mean, whether that be government or technology, that we need new talent, and people are hungry for this. So we need to go to those startup weekends, we need to go to the networking events, we already have great connections with community partners. So there's a hunger, we just need to present this.
So what was actually built this weekend?
Absolutely. So we already did the front end of the intern dashboard and the company dashboard was already built this weekend. So we've got that up and we're ready to test.
All right, great job.
Thank you.
Great job. So my self-trainer, come on up. I know you guys have a little setup to do over here, and I'll stay out of your way. On deck will be Next Hop. So my self-trainer now, and after that, Next Hop. You'll be surprised. I hired 2 interns this summer, and I was surprised to find out I was one of the few startups that paid my interns. I guess I should have got them for free. Okay, who would like the mic?
Here. Here.
We're going to need everyone to be quiet. All right, we're going to get started.
That'll be amazing.
My self-trainer.
My Self Trainer is a platform where you can improve your sport and health from the comfort of your own home using simple devices like the Kinect and Xbox. There is currently no technology that will allow sports enthusiasts to improve their technique while tracking their progress. So I'm going to walk you through our system. This is Steve. Steve's in his living room in front of his TV with his Kinect right below. Steve had a golf lesson yesterday, and he wants to review what he practiced. So Steve opens the My Self Trainer program, selects his sport, then he selects his clubs, what course he wants to play, as well as if he wants to emulate a pro swing or review one of his own. When Steve wants to play, all he has to do is get in position, say start, and then the My Self Trainer system will track his body throughout the swing. And then when he's done, he says done, his session will end, and he can begin review. He can start reviewing his stats from the session, and then he can also look at his progress from the week, the month, and even the year. Steve received expert advice inexpensively from the comfort of his own home. So the next time Steve's out on the course, he's definitely going to beat his friends.
All right, guys. So here's our customer validation. We have Bruce. He's a football coach. He's a semi-pro athlete.
And if I have a video representation of this, or give them the ability to record themselves doing it and be able to see and analyze themselves, then that would be great.
All right. Next up is Chuck Jones, a friend of mine. He was a professional football player for 6 years.
Right. It's all muscle memory. Athletes, period. It's about repetition, and it becomes second nature. That's not bad, dude. $23 a month to track the progress of all your athletes. My self-trainer, I want one.
All right, guys. So based on the testimonials, 3 out of the 4 coaches said that they would use it. They thought it was useful, and they would embrace it and encourage their students to use it. So we did some market analysis. So here's some of the figures. But golf, tremendous revenue in golf compared to baseball and football. The number of players in baseball and football is also huge, so we're not limiting ourselves to just golf. We're also expanding into football and baseball. So there's 26 million golfers, roughly 76 billion in revenue. But right now, what makes us different is that golfers can pay $165 per visit just to get an evaluation. Ours is going to make it a very cheap solution. It's going to be easily accessible, so you're going to be able to do it from home. So weather's not going to basically the elements aren't going to affect your playing. You're going to be able to track and connect how you're doing and your progress and share that with social networks. Visualization of real courses, so you're going to be able to try out courses before you get there so you can work on your technique, strategize, and get a feel for the field. So revenue streams, that's a huge one. We're targeting both coaches and students, student athletes. Coaches, we're thinking about doing a monthly subscription of $23 a month. They all said they'd love that, and cheaper than $1 a day. 3 out of 4 they said they would, so $69 is what we have locked in right now. It can also be an influence-led market, so they can embrace it and get their student athletes to take over. And as far as the students, we're thinking about selling it for the price of $60, similar to the price of an Xbox game. All right, guys, and here's the demo time.
Amazing. Time out. Amazing. Time out. Green. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what did the fourth coach say?
seriously, I mean, it's really hard to do customer validation in a small amount of time. What did you learn from the fourth coach who said he wouldn't use this? What were the reasons there?
That guy actually ended up, I found out later, was a potential competitor. He works with Golf Tech, who has a system in place right now. They franchise it around the nation. And you have to go to their facilities, and it's a massive room with 2 setups, and they use a high-speed camera and a bunch of sensors, and then they track your data that way. But we like to just point out that you have to go to their place to get the feedback, and then it's $165 per session.
So I heard the per session bit. What was the rest? How would you quantify? Sorry. No. How would you quantify the difference between a $165 session and what you can do with a Connect? I mean, what's the difference in quality, feedback, whatever?
One of the things that we learned is that being able to coach yourself is one of the most valuable things. When you get to that level where you can actually coach yourself, coaches aren't going to be able to teach you certain things that you're going to be able to teach yourself. And based on our customer validation, that's one of the things that they told us. If a student is able to do it by themselves, they're going to get much better information.
So there's another opportunity I've seen that's applied to a slightly different target market, but very similar to this. But their go-to-market strategy is to partner with Microsoft and become one of the Microsoft partners on Connect, because, of course, they're trying to extend both in the B2B and B2C area. So I'm just wondering what your strategy or where you're thinking in terms of go-to-market might be initially, and if that might not be something worth considering.
I guess, can you rephrase the question?
What is your go-to-market strategy?
That's the precedent. I mean, obviously they're interested in it, and so, it seems like it's not really competition since it's such early technology.
We're using an influencer-led go-to-market strategy. Going through the coaches, think of every high school that exists in Oregon. They each have 3 or so sports that could really use this system.
But is it the high school student that's got the money to pay for this, or who do you really think is going to be paying for this?
I mean, the high schoolers, they're trying to get into college sports. There's an opportunity for that. This kind of traction, this kind of information, statistical analysis that can show progress of a high school student from one point in their career towards the end, as well as looking at that from the childhood level. Parents are interested in wanting to see their children improve. That is another opportunity.
I'd follow the money.
Follow the money?
Follow the money.
Okay.
The high school kid may not be the one who's got the money, but yeah. Anyway.
Thank you.
Right now they're paying $60 for gaming, and so $60 is very, very reasonable for a one-time purchase.
I think what Diane is saying is go to Microsoft.
Cool.
Okay, great job.
All right, so we're going to have one more team present before we take a quick break. The next team is Next Hop, and after that we will have a short break. So if Next Hop could come on up, that'd be great. Josh, you stole the question from me. It made me, when they said 3 out of 4, made me think of the dentist. And I thought, I always wonder, what does that one dentist recommend I use to brush my teeth? Okay, guys, we're going to get started here in just a second. This is not the break yet. So if I could get everyone focus up here. We'll be going in a second, and if we're not ready, you'll just listen to me tell jokes and do Gangnam Style. Oh. All right, you guys ready? Who should I hand the mic to?
All right, my name is John, and this is Scott, and we are Next Top. Map on, shop in, and hop out. So before I dive in, I want to give a brief bit of context. We had a pretty serious pivot last night at 9 o'clock. Basically, our initial idea was to pay users for a more interactive Foursquare-like interaction. Our validation data came back and disproved the concept. So we came here this weekend to see what we could build in 54 hours. The question became, what can we build in 20 hours? And you're about to find out. But in some of our consumer research, we really hit on two big pain points, both with consumers and vendors in the retail space. Consumers are using their smartphones today to get to the store, but there's not a lot of help to them guiding them around once they're inside the store. They do a little bit of price checking, and that's about it. Oh, she's seen this pitch before. She's laughing. Hopefully we're a little bit different. I'll tell you why in a second. We also see a clear pain point with vendors. Vendors right now would love the opportunity to be able to direct market to their consumers at point of sale. Right now, they're forced to go through retailers, and their messaging gets clouded. It's clouded with competitors. It's a big problem. So our solution is Nextop, and one of the things that's different about it is that we use a new buzzword. No, it's crowdsourced, right? So we're not actually reliant on retailer partnerships, because retailers oftentimes drag their heels with this engagement for a lot of reasons. We're basically taking a model like Waze and letting people dynamically upload when they're purchasing certain items or taking them off shelves. And then that's giving us a database that users can then get turn-by-turn in-store like GPS to navigate around stores. Right? You can see what we've been doing today. We have our brand assets in place. Our website is up and running at nexttop.co if any of you want to check it out on your smartphone or laptop. And this is our iOS app, which Scott is going to be demoing here in a minute. Before we dive into the demos, I wanted to touch on customer validation. We have a survey of about 29 users. 100% of them said they've all had this problem. They would love an app that, if they walk into Walmart or Costco, would tell them where something is. Right? So we know there's a clear consumer demand. The demand is largest, not surprisingly, in big box stores, but we see pretty healthy, high demand across all of these different categories. One of the last things we're most concerned about is what's the motivation for people to actually contribute to this, right? To post where these items are. And the percentage of people in our survey that said they would be willing to do this was 10%. At first glance, that seems low. It's a little worrisome. But notice that they're all enthusiasts. They're all very likely. These are the type of mavens that live for this kind of stuff and the type of people that made a crowdsourced traffic network like Maze possible. Oh, and the last data point I wanted to give there is Wikipedia, 0.03% of users actually contribute, right? So there is a lot you can accomplish with a small percentage of active users actively contributing. So with that, we're going to go to the next laptop and hand it to Scott. Oh, yeah, sorry, not quite yet.
So the first thing that we want to show here is this is an actual video. So this isn't like taken off the internet. This is an actual video that was created by one of our hackers, Dan, moving throughout this building. And so we actually took that data and overlaid it on top of the floor plan for the second floor. You can see he walks down the hallway. He comes back. He'll walk into the conference room here. He'll head out, and then he'll head back towards us. And so this is not using GPS data. So that GPS is typically accurate within 50 meters or so. This is actually using Wi-Fi data, and the accuracy is within 2 minutes. So now we're going to switch over to the actual iPhone app. So we're ready for that. Demo fail. We have an iPhone app, and it's wonderful. I started this weekend with zero experience doing iPhone development. I'm a full-stack .NET developer, and as it turns out, I had to pivot in a 17-hour span and become an iPhone developer. So you can actually see this is, go to run. This is real code. This isn't just a mock-up in PowerPoint. So this is going to launch a simulator here real quick, and it's it's launching the simulator. It's actually already launching, dude. But so what the app does is, as you can see, there's Nexttop. Woo, demo. All right, so it's first just going to load some categories. These are things you're interested in receiving offers about, so we won't talk a lot about that. But here's your grocery list. There's some things we might be interested in. We want beer, maybe some more beer. Change for the homeless guy. Yeah.
All right, we're going to wrap it up with business model. Okay, so real quick, we're going to get paid with advertising. We'll walk through the calculations and Q&A. Oh, man, I love you.
Can you walk me through that slide?
And there's a great Thank you. And please ask us a question on competition in a minute, too. So for our business model, we looked at what people are paying today for smartphone banner ads, online cost per clicks, and pretty conservatively, we think we can get 50 cents per customer per month. This is conservative because these are low-quality impressions. Our impression is, I know that a consumer is about to buy laundry detergent, and they're 10 feet away from your aisle and all of your competitors. You can now push them a Tide ad, right? What would Procter & Gamble pay for that? I actually don't know.
Not very much.
I don't. Do you know?
Not very much.
So does this number seem high or low to you? Where are you going with that?
It seems really high.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, my question is, Foursquare's making maybe 10% of that,
Mm-hmm.
And they have a huge customer base, and they're able to make that revenue off that huge customer base. You have a huge chicken in the egg problem. I'll steal Diane's question, which is market entry strategy.
So I think one of the things that would differentiate us from Foursquare is with Foursquare, you can't actually even validate that you're in the place that you're checking into, right? Like I can be at this store checking into the one that's right next to me, and what we're saying is we know that this person is within 2 meters of your product on the shelf, and so now we can send a push notification to you to actually target that specific brand. So now you're, free Tide sample, or whatever, delivered to you, or my background is in digital gift cards, so we can do a lot of digital gift card providing. So there's just a lot of things we can do when they're staring at the product as opposed to maybe being next door.
Staring at the product and looking at their phone at the same time.
Well, exactly, because.
Small Venn diagram.
But they are looking at their phone because it's routing them through the store on their most efficient path, right? So they're getting turn by turn navigated through the store in an efficient way, and then when I'm about to enter the store, I can get hit with an ad.
Did you do a validation on that?
Did we do about validation on what aspect?
Did you talk to people whether they would look at the phone and navigate through a store?
It came up qualitatively on if they'd want an app that would navigate them through, and it was qualitatively very high. We don't have quantitative data.
Realistically, is that?
I think it is. I mean, I think if I have 10 items and I know maybe where half of them are, and now I have an optimized path that's going to tell me the most efficient way to get all 10, I think that has value.
Yeah, if you can cut through it. So what about the competition?
Oh, beautiful. I love you guys. So there's a lot of people playing in indoor location space. The one that's most directly focused on indoor for retail is Aisle 411. They just got $2 million from a Portland VC firm. I'm hoping it's not your firm. But you can see, so let's look at their coverage around Portland. Looks pretty intimidating. But now I'm going to remove their top 2 customers, Walgreens and Winco. The map is empty. Right? So this is the problem with a deal-based model. If you're reliant on locking down deals with retailers to enter the store, it's inherently slow moving. And retailers oftentimes are disincentivized to let you find an efficient path to their store. They want you to wander. The last thing I'll say is I don't think they're delivering on user experience. Right? This looks like something a facilities guy would want to look at. Right? This is clearly from the inventory database of Walgreens. Compare that with our experience. Right? It's fun, it's engaging, and it's something that, and it's frankly more useful.
So where are you going to get the data from?
The data is provided by users, by mavens. So have you heard of Waze at all? It's a crowdsourced traffic app where people actually, it started black, and people started driving around, and Pac-Man would start to illuminate different roads and different paths. That's essentially what we would do here. We would start black, and then when you're the first user, you're going to walk through Safeway and Pac-Man a route and goods and items as that starts to get populated by users.
What if Safeway changes their aisles?
That's the beauty of crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing has been proven that this can change better and more real time than a corporate inventory strategy could.
So very clearly, this is not meant for a single product or a limited products retail, right? You got to go to a relatively large big box thing for it to make sense.
Correct.
What could break this in terms of what could the retailer do? Because you could be actually acting against their interests.
It's true. So as long there's technologies where if they have a Wi-Fi network, or even if the Wi-Fi network is off, we think they can't technically get in the way. I think that we brainstorm scenarios. Could they come in and corrupt the data and start posting, right? But we think that with pretty sophisticated algorithms, you can say, I'm not going to let somebody remove an item from a location until 3 or 4 people have all confirmed that it's gone.
And to that point, so Dan, when he was taking this video that we showed you, there was no additional hardware. There was no interaction with the property management here. It's entirely...
No, I'm not asking you the weekend solution. I'm asking you steady state, right? As soon as the retailers figure out that they are not entirely benefiting from your approach of directing the customer to the 10 products that he or she wants, and they would rather have people wander around and buy 5 more things that they didn't want, then you're acting completely against their interests, and they will find ways to block you. And that's what I'm trying to see if you thought that through.
Yeah, the first thing I would say is a technical one. The technology is evolving to use cell towers, and even there's new ways to circumvent that technologically. The second thing I'd say is a business, I don't want to completely, we're bypassing retailers. I don't want to antagonize them. And I think that over time, they actually would appreciate this data. You might be able to bundle services where you can route them to where they'd want to go. So I think there's opportunities to actually partner with retailers and not be pure enemies.
Yeah, that's where we want to go.
Yep.
All right, well, our time's up.
So if you're ever out there on the road fundraising, you hear a term sometimes called entrepreneur friendly, and we got a good example of entrepreneur friendly investors up here in a whole different way. I know. I'm kidding. Anyway, before we take a break, I would like to invite one of our sponsors to come up. Angela Jackson is manager or director of the Portland State Business Accelerator, and she has a few words.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Woo! It is one of the joys of being here to look out and see everybody just having a great time here, working hard, creating stuff. And this is the second time PSU Business Accelerator has hosted Startup Weekend, and we hope we can do it again and again. We just love it. So thanks to you all for coming on down. I just want to give you a quick second to learn something about the accelerator if you're looking at moving forward with your business. So we take tech, bioscience, and clean tech companies. There are 30-plus companies here, 250 entrepreneurs fighting the good fight, getting up every day to come here and make the world a better place. So it's a great community, a lot of programming, a lot of meetings, opportunities for entrepreneurs, just a really rich environment to build out your company. And it's very reasonably priced, turnkey, so that you don't have to worry about the mere mortal activities like cleaning the bathroom and replacing toilet paper rolls. We have people who take care of all that stuff, so all you have to worry about is building your company. I want to introduce Zan Pedicic, our operations manager in the back here. Zan, keep up. Stand up again. Zan is the most important person at the accelerator. If you have questions about how to get into the accelerator, if you're interested, if you want to take a quick view of something beyond a conference room while you're still here, she can help you with that. So anyway, just want to say congrats to everyone. Great pitches, and keep fighting the good fight. Thank you.
So we do start a weekend here because we like working with Angela and her team. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for welcoming us. I'd also like to point out that Angela is a double sponsor because the Portland Seed Fund is also a sponsor of Startup Weekend. But I wanted to mention it because we appreciate the support from both. So I think right now we'll take a 5-minute break. So this is just to use the restroom, stretch your legs, and get another beer, and we'll get back on it. After that, Chalk Flow, you will be up right after the break. So please be back here in 5 minutes. Did everyone get a chance to grab some popcorn out there? Is there popcorn out there? So there's popcorn out there by the Voodoo Donuts. That's a new food cart opening in Portland this coming week. Maisie's Portland style kettle corn, good stuff. I think the judges are enjoying the s'mores variety. One night recently we had bacon cheeseburger kettle corn in here on Friday night, I think it was. Good stuff. So Maisie's Portland style kettle corn opens in about a week. So 3rd and Ash, look for them. All right. Are we? I see a lot of empty chairs over here. Are we still missing some folks? The sooner we get in, the sooner we move on to people more interesting than me. All right. I'm just going to look up. So we're going to get going with chalk flow here. On deck is my publicist. So if you guys could be ready over to my right, we're going to turn the microphone over to chalk flow and hear what they've been working on.
Thanks. What an amazing weekend, am I right? Yeah? We're Chalkflow, and we're really excited to tell you about what we did this weekend and our vision of a better workflow for creativity. So what's the basic problem? You got designers, and they have tools that they're creating content in, and they have no native revision control available. What this creates is a workflow that's based largely on saving files with different names. They have a slogan, and it goes, save early, save often. And what's really interesting is you get some very cool names like new, December 12th, final. The problem is you waste a lot of time housekeeping. A lot of time is lost in context switching between managing files and creating the content. And a lot of time is lost in recovering from accidental overwrites. So we were really lucky. We had access to a tremendous number of designers here this weekend, got out and talked to a lot of them. Really appreciate the time that was spent. This is what we learned. 100% agreed with the problem. Great. About 15% said, that's a problem, but I don't care. I'll deal with it. But about 50% of them said, this is actually a problem that I would pay to have a solution for. One of the surprising things we learned, and one of the great things about an event like this, is you do so much learning. We saw that there were two distinct use cases. One was where the designer's working in an isolated environment. The other one where they're working in a collaborative environment. Right there. A little more. All right. So what Cecilia was saying is that she works in a collaborative environment, and she has a team of people that she works with. And she's got a real problem working in a collaborative way with these kinds of files. Let's move on, guys. Move on. Okay, so we're real lucky. Joey here had this amazing idea and this great vision for what we could do better and how to solve this problem. So Chalkflow is focused on solutions that allow the designer to stay focused in their creative environment, in their creative zone, and provide them a solution for collaborative work. We do this by bridging the gap that exists today between design tools and existing revision control systems. A little bit about how it works. You've got basically a designer's working with a single file, so there's no more changing file names and all of this stuff. They're working on a single file, creating their work there. In the background, Chalkflow is monitoring their work, and every time they save a file, or every time they hit save in their environment, we capture a revision and store that in a repository. That's the back end. On the front end, we have a GUI, which Joey here will show you the demo of.
All right, into the nitty-gritty. So here we have a designer working on a drawing, and we have a representation of the Git version tree on the right. The Git version tree just changed when the user saved their updated work. So you can see there was another node added to that. Now you can see the designer's done some more work here, and there's been 3 commits. So now they go and click on one node, click on another node, and it will open up a new window in their design program in a moment here. And our program inserts 3 layers into that program, one with the changes between the 2 the additions between the two states, one with the deletions, and one with the content that hasn't changed between the two states. The designer then can take the changes that they want to preserve, put them back on the first layer, and save the file, and it will be merged and recommitted.
It would save us a lot of time, and I think that it would make us better, more able to just be into that creative space.
I'm ready to buy Chalkflow whenever it's available.
So that was really nice of some folks to offer up their testimonial. A little bit more evidence of the value here. We have 5 signed letters of intent to purchase this. These letters of intent were negotiated based on features and price. What we've established in these letters of intent is that there's an average selling price possible of 10% of the design software. I'm a little embarrassed to show this slide. This is our math on the estimated size of the market based on some of these initial numbers. There are about 6 million users of Illustrator, and based on the people that we surveyed intimately, about 25%.
All right. I'm going to let my geek flag fly. It's getting late in the night. So my first version of my pitch deck was all SVG in Git. I had a make file to produce the PDF of my pitch deck. I noticed that you're doing it on SVGs here, running out of Inkscape it looked like. People don't pay a lot of money for Inkscape. The file format for SVG is far more semantic than an Illustrator file. How do you see bridging that workflow gap from semantic XML like SVG to an Illustrator file?
So the long-term vision is to write plugins to the application that will inform us when the user does things, like add things, remove things, and we can commit that to version control. So in order to move on to binary and complex file types that we can't parse out, that's the plan.
Competitive environment?
So through our interviews, we became aware of a couple of solutions that have been floating around out there. One was Adobe actually tried to do something natively. It was called Adobe Q, and the feedback we got was this thing died a horrible death. Not exactly sure why, but one of the things sounded like execution. Maybe they just tried to take it on in too big a sense. Maybe because they were locked into just Adobe tools. Not sure. The other one is something called Layer Vault. And they offer a somewhat similar solution focused on Photoshop today. So that's something that we need to look a little bit more at, but it's at the moment doesn't appear to have as much capability as what we're looking at.
It's not as dynamic. This is something that will plug into any kind of design tool, right? You're not just looking at Inkscape or just Illustrator. If somebody is a designer and wants it for a different, Microsoft Photo Viewer or something like that, this is going to be dynamic for those things. We're not application specific, and that's what's different.
Yeah, I think part of where the problem has been in this market before is it's a little bit to where Joshua was getting before. It's what people will pay for and how much they'll pay for it, right? And it's a combination of where the connectiveness is as well as where the money decisions get made.
To give you an idea of the pricing, this is what we talk to designers about. We also have another company here, Launchside, who's willing to buy just one of our monthly subscriptions. Yes, it's $5, but it's not overly expensive. And what we're thinking about is, suppose Inkscape, that can be a free version, but Inkscape, Illustrator, you want Photoshop, so it increases in price based on the application support, based on a lot of different things. Another thing is, you have a one-time payment, you get one version, you want to upgrade to the next version, you got to pay another one-time payment. So there are different pricing structures around this. What's important is that we get into the market, this is a niche, so before anybody else can come in competitively, we grow really quickly. That's what we're thinking about.
Yes, except it's hard to scale this one person at a time, right? Mm-hmm. So if you get into the larger firms that have more developers, what you should look into is, what the process is for them making decisions to bring in new technology, because that has tended to be the issue, is slow decision making, and they'll test something till it's dead before they'll replace it. So it's hard to scale this thing one guy at a time.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I think one of the things that we see here in these letters of intent is that largely what we're looking at are the individual freelancers who are willing to sign up initially. Now, we have had a lot of discussions with the larger corporations, and what we learned there was that this is very good. In addition, we need to help them manage some of their project management aspects as well. And so that's an opportunity for us really to expand once we start to get some traction.
Oh, I was just going to mention that GitHub that does this for source control sells to companies, and I think it's around $20 per developer per month, and I know big companies use them. I don't see how the creative design process is different than source control as far as workflow goes, so I think it's totally applicable and worth money to companies.
I mean, I think the big thing with GitHub is that because there's so much open source work, there's a community and there's network effects that you get. I don't know if that necessarily occurs in the design space. I'd maybe disagree with that, and maybe if you start by focusing on the sole designer work, where you have a lot less engineering effort on your side to build the full collaboration, merging and branching across multiple people is a hard thing for people who don't get that to get. And if individual designers like it and just force it on their employers, that might work too.
That's great feedback, and actually that's a lot.
But I'm not an expert by any means, so.
It's exactly the feedback that we got from a lot of the people that we talked to, and that's just to say, what they said was, and that surprised us. We thought we were working on a collaborative environment. What they ended up telling us was, no, this is valuable to me as a revision control system for my stuff.
And we did talk to a teacher. She's a graphics design teacher. They came yesterday for the logo to help us out with the logos. And what she said is, I have 500 plus students who I have to now sit and teach how to save a file, how to do manual merges looking through it. So another big thing is if we start working at students, like a lot of other companies do, that's what they'll go out and use later. So that's another big option there.
Cool. Thank you, Lauren.
All right. Okay. So that was Chalkflow. Next up, we have My Publicist, and on deck will be Bug Shark. So if Bug Shark could be prepared to get going after My Publicist. You ready? Do you have someone doing your slides? You need a remote? You got it
Eric's
figured out?
doing it, yeah. Shashi, you should.
Okay, folks, we're going to get started. I'm going to hand the mic over to My Publicist.
Hi, everybody. Brian Jacobson, Eric Foster doing My Publicist. What we are is a done-for-you Twitter service, initially for real estate agents. I'll get into why in a little bit. And so, next slide. Okay. What is the problem? Let's suppose you want to do social media, Twitter, other things. If you're Coke or Pepsi, you can lay out $5 million for a big campaign. If you're a small, medium business, you can get a local agency for $500,000, $5,000. But what if you're a realtor or a lawyer or somebody who's trying to promote the 3 or 4 ebooks that you've written? They can't really afford to pay somebody $500. And if they do it themselves, so they do it themselves. But over and over, they fail. Here's a good example. The Steve Ticknor, realtor, over a 2-year period, 522 tweets. And they've netted 48 followers. That's not a lot for a 2-year effort. So our solution is to save solopreneurs time. They can have an awesome Twitter account by us doing it for them. They sign up. So next, the product. The idea is to manage a Twitter account that engages a community, generates leads, and builds their brand awareness, their brand image. It's automation using the Twitter API, tweet something around 12 times a day, fun and interesting content with a bit about them. Kind of a PBS model as opposed to CBS. A lot of content, small mention of them. And daily following the top 25 prospects or so. Here's where the special sauce is, because the API exploring has found like 30,000 Twitter accounts that indicate their locations in the Portland area. Who follows other people? Who has keywords that line up with this business? So behind the scenes, we're doing matching so that these solopreneurs connect with the people that have the similar interest to them. First customers, Josh Miller, Realtor in Tigard, Susie Kwan, Amari in Beaverton, Nathan Isaacs, 7G in Portland. It's a video company, and here's the automation. First thing, right around midnight, followed 25 people in the Portland area for him, and a blog about his site, and just kind of a tweet about his blog that an article he wrote a couple months ago, and just a humorous tweet, and on like that for the day through the automation. So next. The business model is this will be a monthly subscription, $49. We're starting with the realtor market because that's a market that Eric understands, 15 years experience in the mortgage working with realtors. If we can bring them in 1 or 2 extra sales a year, that's $6,000 per, roughly per their commission on that sale. The $50 a month is like 10% of the commission. First, make it work with realtors, and then move on to other segments. Initial marketing, directly call them. Cool thing about realtors, you can find them. They tell you their phone number. They tell you their email. But from there, there's like viral elements you can use. If they opt into the spread the word, like they get a steep discount off the $50 a month, and just like about once a week, we kind of tweet with what we've done for them recently. And second is, if you give a referral, you give us an email address of a friend and they sign up, hey, free month for you. Just give them their email address and we'll do the rest. So the bottom line, this is not a startup that's like an app that we hope 10 or 20 million people buy. We're basically looking for a solid business that delivers a lot of value because our cost to deliver is very low. It's all through the automation and not a lot of CPU horsepower to do 25 follows and 12 tweets for a customer per day. But the thing is, they can't interrupt their day 12 times to go out and tweet. Bottom line, anybody here, 6 months of My Publicist for free. And I can do that because it's very easy for me to deliver it through the automation. Thanks.
So you're a service. Aren't you competing with every PR agency out there that's trying to sell social media services like this that also will do Twitter, Facebook, do it all?
Every PR agency is delivering a human service to you. As far as I know, they're not delivering an automated service that's based on the API. As we search through their websites, they don't even list their pricing. It's like call and talk to us for a quote. So they're not looking for like 5,000 customers that they're running in automated fashion. They're looking for 20 customers that are all paying them $500 to $1,000 a month.
So our company, probably one of the smallest banks in America, but we probably have more Twitter followers than Wells Fargo. And the thing that's been really critical to our success on Twitter is interaction. And authenticity and interaction with customers seems to be important to build a brand and to build a reputation and to build followers. I can understand how you can automate the process of populating interesting things, but how do you get that interaction piece?
So we're not going to deliver the same level of interaction for people that can afford $5,000, $10,000 that can afford to put a human being on this, or even put a human being on it 5 hours a week. That's actually a lot of money. But where we can deliver interaction is somebody tweets, somebody replies to one of your tweets, we can drop an email to that. Somebody says, hey, Josh, can you help me find a house in Tigard? We route that, either their choice, text to their phone or email to them, and then they can either, if they reply, they can either reply back to our automation, and then we reply through Twitter, or they can contact the person directly. We can, future ideas, scrape the RMLS listings and like calendar entries for them, so that if they're doing an open house day after tomorrow, we can find that through the scraping and tweet that for them. We will need to work on the authenticity and interaction, but again, we're for the people who can't afford to put a human being on this 3 to 4 hours a week. We're for people that have to be at a lower price point than that.
How do you look at the ROI on $49 a month versus what you'd get by giving that money to Twitter, who has like a promoted tweet service, a promoted tweets business?
We would have to dig in more on the ROI on the promoted tweets. That's something that we should dig into. And, that I'm not sure about the cost point of promoted tweets, but that could be something that we mix into our service if we could fit it inside. Maybe we don't promote a tweet for you every week, but that could be part of the service, or there could be an upsell.
Right.
Why just Twitter? Why not look at Facebook?
Really, it's just minimum viable product. Certainly, one of our first 3 customers was like, Facebook integration will be very useful for 7G Media, but we think there's a very good opportunity for Facebook. Facebook is mobile, or Twitter is mobile. Twitter's immediate, and Twitter, frankly, is a whole lot less crowded than Facebook. So that's why Twitter first, and other social venues in the future, just to be a minimum viable product.
So how much do you think you need to scale in terms of number of people you need to have for 100 employees, 100 customers, or how do you scale that?
Well, we think that we can sign on a new customer for less than half an hour of human labor. And so 100 people would be about 50 hours of labor. And the main mechanism that we've been working out to systemize is going through Odesk, maybe paying about $2 an hour. So the sign up and plug in somebody for us is probably about a 50-cent cost. And you got to do 10 or 20, which we're not quite to that point yet, to really make sure you understand it. But that's what it's looking like at this point.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so next up we have Bug Shark and Due.Love. You're going to be on deck. How do we have beer still? Someone want to bring me one? It's Portland, I guess. It's okay to ask for that. Thank you. You rock. Thank you very much for the beer, everybody. Well, not everybody, one person specifically. All right. Looks like they're ready to go. So,
You're a small business and you've almost finished your last project, but it has bugs.
Your reward for all your hard work is a terrible hassle where you, your friends, your family, all the people you work with stop everything they're doing for a barrage of email to find the bugs.
You and your development team need a better way.
So what's the solution?
What is it?
Bug Shark!
Cleverest species of them all.
With one snippet of code, Bug Shark provides simple tools that allow you, your team, or outside experts to review your site. You can sign up and give it a try right now.
Once your site is bug sharked, you now have a set of easy-to-use tools to provide feedback.
Your development team get all the feedback in one simple, easy-to-use dashboard.
Bugs are easy to find and kill when you know where they are.
Okay.
Through Bug Shark, whether you used our community of experts or your own team, you're able to reward the people that helped you to find and kill the bugs with social credibility, money, or just saying thank you.
With Bug Shark, you and your team are able to stay focused on what you do best.
Bug Shark!
Don't let the web bugs bite.
Bug Shark is quality assurance testing as a service. Generally, the problem in a quality testing assurance is that it's slow and frustrating. Your developers are getting inundated with emails, and there's miscommunications, misunderstandings, and half the times the developers can't even reproduce the bug that they were emailed about. And sitting on a site with errors hurts your business. But hiring an internal team is expensive, and small and mid-sized businesses don't know where to find quality external testers. Bug Shark has the solution. We provide a visual feedback model for quality assurance. It streamlines the process through clearer communication where you can find the bugs fast. We provide a pool of experts, and we allow the option for the website owners to release their site to the whole shark community or just select a few sharks. Out there are several sites that are focused only on one category of quality assurance, like design. And many of these teams just have small teams that are contracted to work on it, and they're slow. You as a website owner, you need this stuff fast. Bug Shark has several advantages. Experts from all areas of quality assurance, not just one, like all the other sites out there. We utilize a pool of talent, and we have on-demand testing capacity. When you have quality assurance testing you need to do, you can visit bugshark.com, and we'll get it done right away. And we're faster. So this is our model. So a site owner downloads and installs Bug Shark, and the site owner picks from a 3-tier freemium model. This is where Bug Shark makes their money, from subscriptions and bounties. Sharks are notified that your website's ready. They use tools that are then, they find the bugs, and screenshots are sent to the website owner's dashboard where they can see all the bugs that they have been found on that site, clearly letting the website owner resolve the issues right away. Then they get to reward the community, either through recognition or through bounty payments, which is decided by their subscription. It's a self-feeding process. Sharks come back for more, and website owners come back for their updates and their new sites.
So it's Bug Shark. Basically, it's quality assurance as a service, and you charge $100 a month for that. That's like you pay more.
I would pay that without hesitation.
Yeah, because they want to continue to focus on what their core business model is, and the web presence is purely informational thing that they're kind of done, right?
Well, I would say this is absolutely valuable. Reality is your customer ends up being your QA department, which is a really bad situation to be in because they're finding the bugs, and then you're on your, you get caught on your heels trying to do QA on the fly and customer support with someone who's just written you a check.
But I would have no problem spending at least $50 to $100 a month on something like that.
If you want me not to think about it and just to do it, I'd say $100 for that price point.
We're launched, but there's room for growth. This can be taken internally between developer and developer to make it more clear and get your QA done faster. We can provide a richer set of tools, and we have a growing Shark community.
Now I'm going to pass it over to David, and he's going to answer your questions for you.
Okay, you say you've launched. Can we see what it looks like?
Yeah, I handed you an iPad with it.
A demo of a site, actually.
So this is actually live. Whoa. So you just click on that. It pops up. You provide the feedback. We'll say this was like reasoned feedback. You hit that send feedback button. In a second, that'll see how that updates. It goes back down, and you see that shark fin. This will slide down in just a second. The internet's not that hot, but it slides down. And so on the sites that do not pay for our service, that little fin remains, which is part of our go-to-market strategy. So if you use our tool, our little branding is in the lower corner so people know to provide feedback.
Two questions. One is competition, and the other is, are you guys really going to do this company?
Absolutely. This company has already happened, and it's something that is not a mystery to us. A lot of people in this room, it's a little bit of an unfair advantage, sorry to the other teams, but this is something that our community really needs. I'm involved in many different companies that need this. We already have sales booked, so we've pre-sold over $100 already. Booked revenue, that's not like a commitment, that's money that we've received. And so, yes, absolutely, this business is happening.
Competition?
Oh, sorry. So competition in the business, there is some. Usabilla, there's some others. And there's some that have gotten significant funding. We think we have several core disruptive aspects of our model, including the bounty system. So if you have a site, you need feedback in one area or just generally in a short period of time, you post a bounty, $100 or $1,000. The sharks are alerted to that. They come quickly, and we take a percentage of that for being sort of the escrow agent that allows you to hold that and distribute that, and no one else is doing that.
How would you get the sharks? Did you think about it?
So we already have some sharks. We have committed paid sharks already. It's really sort of a monetization of tools like Stack Overflow. So there are a lot of people on forums already. This is a well-established thing that people, even just for social credibility, like to provide this kind of feedback just to sort of prove they're right. We have done some validation and also signed up sharks, and we're confident that offering money for something people like to do anyway probably will work out.
Is it easy to replicate what you have?
What's that?
Is it easy to replicate what you just built?
So obviously, we built this in a weekend, so this isn't one of those like preheated deals for Startup Weekend. It was just an idea. We figured it out, and so yeah, other people could build this, but we think that because of the unique approach that we've taken to the bounty system, that we'll be able to develop some IP around that. And so we think that's defensible, but also we understand that in the startup scene, execution is everything. Apple wasn't the first person to make a smartphone. Our team built an amazing set of tools, an amazing brand. We got this great domain. We got validation. I wouldn't want to compete with me. So.
Can you tell me?
And my team, I'm just really a conduit for the great team. It's not me.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what a bounty is? I mean, we work with an external QA firm for our mobile application, for example, and we have to write very detailed sort of QA work lists for them to work through. So what does a bounty look like?
Excellent question. So you can take a bounty and either just make it general or make it sort of specific to security, usability, or different things. I don't know where. Okay, so here's the tool. So, and it's really just generalized feedback. And if you're a paid customer, you can sort of identify who you're going to take feedback from. But it's a little bit different than you definitely are part of a bigger company that needs sort of a standing army for QA. And you're not really, while you understand this problem, not really our core customer. We're looking for people who sort of don't, have staff for that. And so they're willing to take more generalized
we don't have
feedback.
Staff for it. I mean, that's why we're using
sure,
an external
good point.
firm. Yeah.
Sure, but certainly farther down the line, if the business were more developed, that's sort of, we'd approach that. But generally it's, hey, you found a mistake, we're going to monetize that. We're going to pay out the bounty to all this one person who found a big mistake or just randomly to somebody, or there are a lot of different ways that we can do it, but we don't get too granular yet on exactly structuring the problem.
I want to understand the economics. So if you're looking at a price point around $100 a month,
sure.
Are the bounties then on top of that?
Yes, so they can be, and definitely based on your commitment, depends on how much of the bounty that we take. So obviously bigger customers, Google and Facebook and a lot of big companies are already doing this already with high administrative costs for security. This is an age-old thing. Hey, $60,000 if you can break our browser. We just want to basically charge a high fee to lower users, lower fee to bigger users.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you.
Could you just quickly scale the business opportunity for me? How big do you think this could be?
So this is a little bit of a, to use the term everyone knows, blue ocean, in the sense that there are a lot of people that have this need. Obviously millions and millions of websites and businesses, and so we believe it's a multi-billion-dollar business, but no one's really setting the precedent. So back to Diane, your question about competitors. Like some of the biggest competitors for this have like 58 Twitter followers, and we have more already. So it's no one's really explored this market. So I frankly cannot answer your question.
All right. So up next we have Due.Love, and on deck will be Local Plate. So Due.Love and Local Plate. Was Bugshark.com available, or did you guys have to buy that on an auction? It was just available? Wow. Oh, yes. This is my iPad now. I'm just kidding. I'll make sure that gets to the right person. All right, so we're going to have Due.Love come up next. And after Due.Love, Local Plate. And then after Local Plate, it'll be the last team of the evening. And then I'm going to tell you about some cool prizes. We actually got a last-minute prize for one of our sponsors, so I'll have a chance to tell you a little bit about that. And we have some other fun opportunities for you to stay involved in the entrepreneur ecosystem and continue building your companies if that's something you'd like to do. So it looks like they're ready. So with that, I'm going to ask everyone to bring their attention up front, and we'll get started.
Hi, my name is Teresa, and I've been working this weekend with Kirsten, and I am so excited to have this opportunity to share this important topic with you all. I think every entrepreneur is trying to find their passion and is trying to find something that can change the world. So I'm not just an entrepreneur, I'm also a socialpreneur. My big goal is to create positive change. And then my next goal is to improve birth outcomes. The way we plan on doing that is by creating a platform for pregnant families to easily access the highest quality resources available. Let me tell you about the problem. Well, actually, let me tell you why it inspired me. Someone came up to me one day and said, "Birth was one of the best days of my life." And I said, "What?" Like, that's not the story I've ever heard. I've only ever heard how painful and how terrible it is. So then I started looking into the problem. And what I really started to learn is that we have an excessive amount of unnecessary interventions during birth. 83% of women could give birth naturally. Yet, 50% of women have been induced, 75% get epidurals, and nearly 33% have a cesarean section. Now, there are tons of things I can explain about why these are big problems. I can't do that in 5 minutes. But I will try and solve the problem with these tactics. First, my primary objective, and I've already started this business, is to become a doula. A doula helps women have the best birth possible and to lower those rates of unnecessary interventions. That already exists. I'm already working on that. I want to then grow into a much bigger vision that can help the entire world. Primary, the United States. We are actually one of the worst countries to give birth in the industrialized nation. That might be shocking for some of you to find out tonight. Step 1, in existence. Step 2, working into business mentoring. I already have these forms that have been selling. People love them. I help doula businesses become more successful. Once we're able to get that framework, we then want to work into creating an online search that becomes a referral source. We'd first start with those contacts through the doulas that we're able to mentor, and those will become the first referral sources. From there, we want to add in holistic care providers. So that could be chiropractors, naturopathic doctors. That is something that we'll grow into, but this is a big, big version. We'll get there. This is one of my clients. She'll tell you her experience of using a doula.
what made it a positive birth experience? What do you wish other women knew? And I had really low intervention, and I was able to have a natural birth. And those, I believe, were due to having a doula. So I was able to have a shorter and less intense pregnancy and delivery. And those all contributed to a great birth experience. Awesome.
Now, there are some sites that do a minor portion of what I'm suggesting. That one website, the one that inspires me, has 17,000 likes right now on Facebook. Anytime that they post a comment, they get at least 50 responses, at least. Most of the time, we're in the hundreds. So I know that there are parents out there that are eager for this information, and they're eager for the community. So this is kind of a mock-up. We didn't have the opportunity. There was just two of us, and we didn't have a developer, but we did speak to a developer about what could make this happen. So this is just a PowerPoint presentation that we made ourselves. This is going into what it might look like to have a listing. It's really important to have that education piece and that quality evidence-based care. So we would have the information on the top portion, what a person can expect to pay, and then one of the places we can monetize is by having featured listings. Another way we can make money, as you heard earlier from Second Step, is through online classes. This already exists. I already offer this through my website. I charge right now $150. It could go up. A way to engage the audience is to have birth stories, and parents love telling their birth stories. So that's one of the ways to build the audience. Plenty of opportunities to build up relationships with others and to create partnerships and to kind of monetize through that back end. Also having shop online features, direct things that I myself can have as products to sell. For example, the forms that I make, my sister is actually an author and she's an authority in the field. So I can sell her book and make lots of money.
I think they're scared to ask.
No. So I actually dropped out of medical school during my obstetrics training. No, not during my sex change. That was before. But I want to ask just a business question. So you're looking at a $25 revenue or lead gen revenue for someone you send to a doula, correct? That's the revenue you're making on that side?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
I saw a stat there, $25 is the average lead gen revenue to introduce someone to a doula. Is that right?
Oh, no, that was just the opportunity cost for lead gen on average. So if we could present clients to you as a doula, how much would you pay to get a client? $25 on average.
Okay, so that is sort of the CPA on that side. So what's the cost for you to get people to come to this website? How do you do that?
That's why it's in a 3-step phase. So really building that relationship with the doulas is step 2. So we really have the network and the build-up of those doulas looking for the clients.
How do you find doulas? And how do people find doulas?
That is a great question. Right now, there are a few websites that do doula match. The one that's most marketed is called doulamatch.net. If you could pull that up, the quality is... I brought an example of what you're going to see. If there was a single book I think you should read about birth, it is this book. And the reason I'm showing you this specifically is because look at the packaging. This is what you're getting on almost all doula websites. It's this type of quality. So the user experience is terrible. And that is one of the reasons why people aren't using doulas. They don't think it's good quality stuff because it's coming in the wrong package.
So huge market. And I was actually surprised that there's only one online site that you think is sort of...
I have spent a year looking into this
idea.
idea.
No, I believe you. I have no idea. I mean, it's a huge... But the market is also somewhat fragmented, right? Because, I mean, if you want nutritional information, there are sites. If you want...
Absolutely, and this is actually the one problem I want to solve. Because there's when you become pregnant, you're overwhelmed and overloaded. There's not a single source of credible information. There is stuff like The Bump, but that is geared towards the conventional birth experience. I'm trying to make it shifted towards the parents that are more educated that want that low to no intervention birth.
So how big is the churn an issue? I mean, how long does
9 months. We're here to help.
Go ahead. Can you finish the question?
Kids get late.
So when do you actually lose the customer or how long do you think you'll stay?
Well, you have that. Most of the time, you're introduced to your client one of two ways. You're either going to meet them when they're very first pregnant and they're super excited and they really want you as a doula, or they meet you about 7 months when they go, oh shit, I better get my stuff together. But that being said, my business isn't just being a doula. It is right now. But to grow the business, I can work with doulas and with the business mentoring for years to come, build that relationship up. And then the third piece is, again, something that can happen for years to come.
What's the demographic profile of women that go for doulas versus?
Only 3% of women use doulas at this point, although it is growing. Last year, there was a 30% increase.
So what is that number? 3% of what?
4.3 million. I don't know the math. I'm sorry.
So it's 4.3 million women
give birth per year in the United States.
And so 3% of that are looking for doulas.
3% are currently looking for doulas because they know to look for doulas. 97% are uneducated on the matter, honestly. So the education piece is huge. And another piece to say is there's actually a 600% increase in the cost of having a conventional birth in a hospital. You can save a ton of money.
So the 3% that is looking, what's their profile? I mean, are they?
They are a highly educated woman who knows the reasons why there's complications in the hospital. It's generally the high educated woman. However, statistically, the woman that gets the best care and the most benefit of using a doula are minority women.
Does insurance cover any of these services?
It is a relationship that doulas and the people that are doing the research for doulas are trying to explore because they actually, insurance companies spend nearly $41 billion a year on health-related things. Medicaid is paying about $53 billion. So it's a taxpayer problem, honestly.
$53 billion for what?
For childbirth and childbirth-related services. So your taxpayers we're paying a lot of money for people to have birth in this country. Yeah. So there's a lot of avenues to go. We've talked a lot about, like, could we go through insurance? Could we go through doing this privately? There's a lot of opportunity.
All right, now our time's up. All right, so and that was Due.Love. And next up, we have Local Plate. And after Local Plate will be our final presentation, and that's tripfind.me. So if you guys can be on deck and ready to go, that'd be wonderful.
What's the last one? Catchy name. Local Plate.
All right, so the prize that I just found out about a little while ago, one of our sponsors, Cloudability, they're going to be donating a 6-month premium membership to the top developer of the weekend. So that's a new one, something to look forward to. They've got a few T-shirts and beer bottle openers, so we'll make sure to get those in the hands of some people that have kicked butt. So thanks to Cloudability for being a sponsor and showing up tonight. All right, you guys ready? Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Local Plate, and if I can have everyone's attention, we'll get started.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott. I'm the, we'll say, lead hustler for Local Plate here. Got a bunch of coworkers here you got to thank for the back end of this project here. But Local Plate started with the idea to connect local foods to local restaurateurs. A little bit of third-party verification of what we're trying to do here. The National Restaurant Association did some research. They surveyed 1,800 chefs over 210 categories. The number 1 and number 2 category response of what's going to be the hottest thing are locally sourced products. Some local customer validation, went out and hit the streets, visited up the Portland growers markets and right down the street. Found out that conveniently matching local ingredients with chefs is a difficult process right now. The chefs don't have one place to go to do this, and they spend a lot of time interacting with vendors individually. They lack a turnkey access to this solution. Our solution is a real on-time marketplace to connect their foods and the growers with their buyers, the restaurants. Market opportunity here, we feel, is diverse. Farmers, ranchers, fishers, dairymen, whatever occupation you have in supplying foodstuffs. On the buy side, we'd originally focused with the restaurants, but certainly other opportunities to grow into other verticals. Our main competition currently is the direct sale, those farmers going straight to customers. We're not trying to ruin that. We're trying to make that better because while there are largest competitors, the direct sale, that's also the largest problem. Earl is the head chef at Padi, Thai restaurant in town. He spends 2 to 3 hours per day sourcing his produce. That is time lost that he could be spent doing other things, driving his own revenue, not spending time and effort into finding his food. Competitive advantage that we have here, our real-time interactive platform. We believe that while there are other people trying to work in distribution networks, there's no one in this actual space of an online marketplace. There are bulletin board type resources. So this is solving that pain 2 to 3 hours a day. Earl only connects with about 5 vendors to get this done. We went to Higgins restaurant. They connect with 15 to 20 vendors. Imagine how much time they're spending. This is a big pain. So our business model, we plan to take slight commission off the top. The time saved is going to be the justification to the restaurateur in this situation. All the other opportunities to monetize as the provider, you can opt in to get your product out there and in front of eyes. We do have a minimum viable product, the result of all of our hard work this weekend. We have a website. You go to that website, there are farmer profiles. The farmers have a way to input their inventory. The chefs can then browse that inventory and find what they need. A little look into the website. Different views here. So I mentioned Higgins Restaurant. If anyone knows anything about the restaurant industry, the weekend is hands off for anything but them trying to satisfy their customer. This weekend, what did I do? I walked into Higgins Restaurant, and I got the time of chef de cuisine. I made a connection. We connected Wintergreen Farm down in Nody, Oregon, and we brought a head of Romanesco cauliflower, if anyone's seen it before. It's a pretty cool looking fruit, known in the class of fractal fruit. Thought you guys might appreciate that, given the crowd. We connected him with this resource, and he produced this dish for us. We got a pan-seared, finished in the oven, Pacific cod, locally sourced as well, with the locally sourced Romanesco, finished with the Granada chili coulis. I did buy him a drink. So, why local plate? Suppliers, on the supply side, suppliers need stability. If they had a diverse marketplace, if they could easily connect with all of the restaurateurs that all want to go local, especially in Portland, then we're going to guarantee them a more stable product where they can plan and more effectively make their own money. Chefs, they want this like no other. They're tripping over the idea of getting an online marketplace. An all-access pass, the increase in integrate the local ingredients onto local tables. Any questions? Judges?
See, you're going to take a small cut of the top. How big is the opportunity then?
You mean I'm trying to estimate how many deals we would do and then percentage multiply it there?
Yeah, how big is the business opportunity?
Well, the biggest, we could pull revenue streams across a town. We haven't run the actual numbers for the numbers of restaurants and their revenue streams, but the restaurants, Higgins spends $5,000 per week on produce. So if we're looking at Higgins Restaurant alone, taking a 1 to 5% off of that, then we can do some math there.
Why restaurants rather than individuals?
There are already some existing players in the market space that focus more on the CSA side of things and the direct-to-individual. There's nothing in there that exists for.
What's wrong with those products that stops chefs from using them?
It's a good question.
I would say primarily logistics. It's a big headache for farmers delivering these products right now. And so if you're selling somebody a pound of carrots, unless they're going to come to the farm and pick it up, which is fine, but other than that, it's really tough.
But why wouldn't I just use a CSA as a restaurant? Or is that not marketed to the restaurants?
No, it's not marketed to the restaurant. And chefs need they're buying much more on a different scale than the CSAs. The idea of some alert-based notifications, so when a prime item comes onto the market, when there's 5 pounds of truffles in all of Portland, as a supplier, you'd have the ability to create a customized alert that would get out to your preferred customers. They'd maybe have a preferred window of time to jump on that item before the rest of the world did. The CSA market seems to be rather full, and we're not trying to disrupt that. We're trying to give the professional buyers a tool to use.
Where do they buy now? Do they go to like big?
They go to direct,
markets?
or they truck it down in the rain to the markets. And so we would foster that direct connection. We don't want to distance them from their direct relationship, but that is where the problem lies, is that they spend 2 to 3, 4, 5 hours a day just trying to get this done. And if we had a real-time marketplace, we can add it, and as things aggregate up, we would hopefully be able to achieve a model that would make this very efficient.
So we've seen a lot of two-sided markets today. So you'll hear the same question, which is, how do you go about building it? In terms of, do you go to the farmers first, do you go to the restaurants first? How do you get to a point whereby it's a real marketplace?
Certainly. We feel that growth has to occur equally from both sides, given the dynamic we're trying to suggest. Larger markets for farmers, larger markets for buyers. We've already tied into the blog scene. We've got some bloggers in regional focus, Facebook, Twitter, et cetera. We're already getting attraction and visibility onto the page. And there would be a lot of boot kicking, a lot of knocking on doors, a lot of time spent calling farmers and potentially making a trip down to visit.
Another thing is what we were envisioning is working with the existing relationships restaurants and farmers have and starting there. So, for example, Higgins works with 15 to 20 farms, and if we can onboard them and then work with those farms' customers and grow that way.
That's actually, so we started with a few insider connections that we have to local restaurants. Earl at Padi pointed out Gathering Together Farm. We approached Gathering Together Farm at the farmers market. Now Gathering Together Farm, they have 40 other restaurants that they supply. They know other farms that they think would be interested. They've already suggested this. I'm getting cell phone numbers of owners of farms put in my hand to go try and make these connections.
Do you see an opportunity to increase the amount of stuff that is sourced locally as a result of what you're doing?
Yes, definitely. The issue on the supply side is the uncertainty of the market. They recognize that this is a great idea, locally sourced food, but they can't make the investment into their own process to scale to maybe make it happen. We need to facilitate this by aggregating all the maybe smaller purchases that are occurring in disparate locations and create that marketplace that then justifies the ability. For example, a rancher I talked to, he cannot increase the size of his herd unless he knows that in 3 years he's still going to have that commitment by the time his herd has reached viability.
All right, great work. So the final pitch of the night is on their way up. It's tripfind.me. So I'm going to invite them to come up. That was just Local Plate that we heard from. So true story. I want to retire as a rancher and hop farmer. And I want to feed hops to my cattle and then use something from the cattle to fertilize the hops. And I'm going to call it Hoppy Cows. So when I do that, I'm going to become a customer of Local Plate. Did anyone get that at all? It's not a joke. I really want to do it.
Can you tell me about your customer validation?
Yeah, none. All right, so I think we're going to be ready to go here in just 1 second. All right, so I will be handing the microphone over to a representative from the final team of the evening. All right. Oh. All right. You guys want to hear about hoppy cows more, don't you? Yeah. We're a two-sided market. I'm getting a little scared.
The cows and the hops.
Yeah. All right. So we're still kind of figuring things out. I told them that if they did a tech check, we'd give them a little bit of lenience if something happened. So where this is the lenience part that we're doing now. You've probably seen a photographer walking around. That's Dawn Marks Photography. She's volunteered, donated her services for the entire weekend. So I've already seen photos from day 1 and 2. I'm sure day 3 photos are going to be great. And we'll make those available to you guys as soon as we can after the event wraps up. But if you'd like to check out Dawn Marks Photography, you can search for them on Facebook and find them there pretty easily. All right. Yeah, Eli. So one of our other great sponsors that you're going to hear from a little bit later is Thai Oregon, and they've got a great opportunity for you guys to kind of go on to the next step with your team and your project from Startup Weekend. So we're going to hear from Lakshmi a little more about the opportunity they have for you, and I believe they also have some prizes for the top 3 teams. So that's some exciting stuff. That's one of the things that we find important here at Portland Startup Weekend is this is not just one event. This is something that we do year-round. We're volunteers. I heard someone call us staff earlier. We're actually volunteers. We don't get paid. We do this in our spare time, but we try to provide opportunities that go beyond just 2 events a year. So you'll hear more about those. But it looks like Trip Fine's ready, so let me hand it over to Justin.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you. Well, as you know, my name is Justin. I'm with TripFind.me. And I'm just curious, how many of you out there currently book travel online? Fantastic. How many of you are actually frustrated with that experience? A lot of you. Well, guess what? Don't worry, you're not alone. Why do you think that is? Well, I'll tell you. It's because online vacation planning sucks. And you know what? Of the people that we surveyed, 50% of them agree. Who are these people? Primarily women, ages 34, college educated with no kids. Why do they hate it? Because they say it's so hard to use. I hate the pop-ups. It's intimidating. It's overwhelming. I can't find what I need all in one place. The sites are so cluttered, and the interface is terrible. What's the bottom line, folks? Where is the damn UX? Where is the user experience? Well, it's here. I'm very proud to introduce you to TripFind.me. The first thing that I want to say is TripFind allows a user to plan and book a destination based on what's important to them. But if you'll notice these pictures that are scrolling through, if you notice there's a little link right there, and that link allows you to immediately go to a booking page to book a vacation exactly wherever this picture is. Those consistently scroll. But if you need a little bit more information, maybe you have a few more parameters that you have to worry about, we have these options. And let's say for me specifically, I'm not concerned about how many days I'm going, but I'm concerned about budget. I'm going to go down here and pull budget out, and I'm going to say, I don't want to spend over $2,000 on this vacation. I go, all right, I'm leaving from Portland. Here we go, and let's go. Bam, we have all of our options that are under $2,000 as a package. Now, you know what? Cabo Frio, Brazil looks pretty good. I've never heard about that. That looks interesting. Let's take a look at it. We can research the destination from this page. We can see reviews, attractions. We can tell if our friends from Facebook have actually gone there, and if they have, what they say about it. We can change what we like about the actual package. We can say, you know what, I want to go to a different hotel. Maybe I want a different flight. Maybe I want to use a different car company or a different rental car. Once we decide what we want, we book it. It immediately takes us to the checkout page. We enter a little bit of information. We get everything said and done. We agree to some terms, and we confirm and book. And what did we do? We just booked a vacation in 4 steps. 4 clicks, you're booking a vacation. And what did we do? We just made money. How do we make money? We made money from the 3% affiliate revenue per booking that we're getting. We're also getting a $5 booking fee per transaction. And that's immediate. That's right now. That's not in the future. What about our competition? How do we stack up? I'm going to quote Donald Norman here and say, attractive things work better. Our user experience is amazing. 4 clicks and you're booking a vacation. We have social media integration into it. A customizable user interface that allows us to customize the search result. And a beautiful, if I must say so, experience. How do we obtain clients? Well, we're going to engineer a viral campaign targeting early adopters. We currently have 33 Twitter followers and 106 Facebook likes, and that's in 1 day. What's next? Currently, immediately, we're going to concentrate on website refinements, user testing, mobile apps, and LTO deals. Going from there, for the next 12 months, we're going to concentrate on feature listings, deep social integration that will allow us to search even more, and data collection that we could possibly sell in the future. In the big picture, we're thinking dream big. We're going to use the data that we collect to become a personal recommendation engine. We hope that you visit us at tripfind.me. Thank you. If I could just set this here and you guys can kind of see it just to get an idea.
Sure. I'm a sucker for great design, and that looks really pretty.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I do all my booking right now on Hipmunk, just because I hate the user experience of booking flights.
Absolutely.
But you say a 4-click booking. When I click my thing on Hipmunk, it'll take me to Orbitz or wherever, and I have to deal with all that crap. How do you bridge that gap here? What deals do you need to have in place to actually book the travel in this experience?
The affiliate program actually allows it really simply, and what we found was it's a simple HTML code that you drop into our website and allows you to book it as though you're booking it through us. So
Why hasn't Hipmunk done that yet?
I wish I could tell you. I don't know. They may be getting it from, they may be skipping the middleman and going straight to the back end, all the way to the back end. But I wish that they would, because it would, well, actually I don't wish they would, because I would rather just me do it.
I think there might be the answer here.
Yeah, I think or we might have somebody else actually.
Okay.
There's also a little cost in the setup, as you know, working in banking with the SSL and actually taking the money. So I think a lot of those small companies wait on that and just
they've raised
push it out.
Funding and they've been working at it for a while.
Diane?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful site. I think it's a really hard market. It's for where a bit of where Josh is going and everything else, and the B2C. I mean, where everyone is making the money is not on the B2C. It's on figuring out the B2B component of this, and those partnerships and relationships, and that some of that takes having enough data because they want the data and all of that. So I think you're going to have to figure out really how to survive long enough with getting a large enough market to be able to get really where the money is. It's because it's tough. As big as the problem is, nice as the site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I would just like to let's give a round of applause to our judges. You're going to see them again, but that was just a little bit of social bribing to kind of make them feel good here. Shashi, could I have you take our judges to a deliberation room? For the rest of you, we're going to take a short break. I have some exciting stuff to tell you, including an audience favorite competition, so please come back here within the next 5 minutes. if your dog has a Facebook account, anybody that has anybody, we got to really support our Portland team. So remember that the winner of the Global Startup Battle, in which the Portland winner will be competing in, that winner, the global winner, gets an all-expense-paid trip to Rio de Janeiro for the Global Entrepreneurship Congress. That's for the whole team, Rio. That's in, I think, March or April. The Startup Weekend team is going to be there, so you have some cool people to hang out with. You also get an all-expense-paid trip to Silicon Valley. You'll tour the Google campus and meet with a bunch of cool people. And you're going to get $15,000 worth of services for things like law, design, anything like that. So super important that you do your video within the next 24 hours. You might consider just doing your video here while you're still awake. You're going to be tired tomorrow. We can help you with that. Maybe we can ask a photographer. We can pull out our cameras, and maybe someone could even volunteer some editing services. But we'll get that up and running. And then we'll be announcing once that's up for voting. We'll put that on Portland Startup Weekend Facebook and Twitter, so everyone in this room and all of our family and friends can support the winning team from our city. I don't even remember what's next. I guess we'll find out. Prizes. So the judges are wrapping up downstairs right now, but this is what you're competing for. So the first one I want to tell you about is the LaunchSide Rapid Revenue Prize. So they have donated $5,000 of no strings attached software development services for the team that they believe is the closest to significant revenue. There are a few things. You have to be a technology that they understand and support. But they've spent a lot of time this weekend getting to know the teams and what you're working on. And Nathan, one of their team members, is down with the judges right now, making a decision on which team that they're going to be offering that to. So the judges they're all involved in that, and I'll be telling you about that in a few minutes. So what we need you to do if you're the winner of that prize, you also need to stick around this evening. Come see me. I'm going to connect you with the LaunchSide team, and you'll learn how to move forward. Actually, we have a certificate for you, so that'll have more information on it. First place. So first place, you're going to win a $2,500 legal package from Gina Atwood of Immix Law. She's been supporting Startup Weekend for a while now, and this is a package to help you get off the ground with the business formation that makes most sense to you. It's up to $2,500, so it kind of depends on which package you pick. But she's a wonderful supporter of the startup ecosystem in Portland, specifically of Startup Weekend, so we appreciate her and Immix Law. You'll be getting a $1,000 consulting package from Push Business Consultants. I believe that's 10 hours of consulting with someone that has about 30 years experience, most recently in the advertising industry. In Focus, they gave us projectors to use while we were here this weekend. The winner is going to get a $600 brand new projector. It's not that big, I promise. It's one of their newer models. It's that model, so it's nice and tiny. So the winning team will get that, and hopefully you'll figure out how to use it as a team since it's an individual. Or anyway, Ty, OEN, and NetSpace have all donated to the prize package for first place. I believe those include memberships and opportunities to pitch at upcoming events and get feedback from. There's cash from Ty.
Ty is offering the first place winner $250 cash, and the second place winner $150 cash. They've got mentoring and memberships and all kinds of cool stuff.
I'd like to invite Lakshmi. Are you here? Where are you? Where am I? Lakshmi from Ty is going to come up and tell us a little bit about another opportunity about how you can kind of go to the next level with your Startup Weekend team. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
Hi. There are a lot of interesting companies, and this is my fifth Startup Weekend, and it's amazing. I think it gets better every year. And actually, you've met a lot of the Thai folks. Sherry does Startup Walk on Thursdays, and Ranjit Pandit is a charter member. Gina Atwood is a charter member, and she did a really amazing workshop on legal basics for startups. Nitin Rai is one of the judges, is the president of Thai Oregon. Diane Freeman is a board member. So we're all one big happy family, and we're really happy to support Startup Weekend. And so one of the biggest benefits of joining Thai is the mentorship. We have monthly meetings with charter members, which is free for members, and mentorship sessions. And Anu Khaira, who's also a charter member, is going to be leading the mentorship committee, so matching mentors with mentees. So lots of benefits to membership. And what we're offering is discount of 25% off membership for a pitch fest. And that's going to be on December 6th. And it's going to be a lot like this, where we're going to select 10 companies to pitch. And the panel of investors is pretty impressive. We have Scott Sandler, fund manager of the Oregon Angel Fund, Greg Rao, founder of and CEO of Upstart Labs, Angela Jackson, and Darren Nelson, who's one of our newest charter members and an angel investor and founder and CEO of iSupport Software. So it's a great opportunity to pitch your company and take your company forward after this event. And it's also, and if you don't want to pitch, it's also a great networking opportunity to meet some of these investors, meet other entrepreneurs. So, and it's free for members. So I have these flyers, and I think, it's going to be part of the packages all the teams receive. But if you want, get them from me. And I hope you can all, come to this event on December 6th. It's on the west side. I apologize, it's not downtown, but I hope you'll drive all the way over. And Shashi Jain is going to be organizing the Pitch Fest. So he is one of our executive committee members, so you get an opportunity to see him again as well. And Jeff, who's also a member. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for Ty. Ty's been supporting Startup Weekend for a long time now, so we really appreciate their partnership. And, some of the best and brightest business people in Portland are members of organizations like Ty and the next organization I'm going to mention and that you'll hear from, and that's the Portland Seed Fund. They reach into a lot of mentors locally and as well as a lot of angel investors as limited partners in their funds. So, Lynn, could I invite you up to tell us a little bit about the next application deadline for Portland Seed Fund?
Hi, guys. So my name's Lynn Lee. I'm an associate with the Portland Seed Fund and a proud Portland Startup Weekend alum. So I'm here to tell you guys about Class 4 applications. We're just in the process of wrapping up Class 3. Applications will be open end of November, early December, which is going to be around our demo day. For those of you who don't know what Portland Seed Fund is, we're an early stage investment fund as well as startup accelerator. We have a 90-day mentorship cycle program that is very similar to Techstars Y Combinator that culminates into a demo day. So, what better than to put real money, real investment dollars into what you've been working on for the last 72 hours. This is an ecosystem we're really proud to be a part of. There's very clear representation of our presence in the community with Brand Live. We've got Cloudability, Launchside, and then superbly now Glider in the audience. So we love being a part of this community, and we hope that you help us help you by encouraging us to invest in you. So thanks.
All right. So make sure to be looking for the application and the due date in December for Portland Seed Fund. Eli, would you recommend applying to the Portland Seed Fund? See, 1 out of 1 entrepreneurs recommends the Portland Seed Fund. All right. Also, who's enjoyed the kettle corn in here tonight? What? All right. Maisie's Portland style kettle corn is going to be opening on 3rd and Ash at the end, about a week from now. Is that right? On Friday. So Black Friday. So when you're out shopping, getting stuff for yourself and your friends and family and loved ones, stop by 3rd and Ash, pretty close to Voodoo Donuts where Big Ass Sandwiches was, and grab some of this awesome kettle corn. We appreciate that. Some of our winners get kettle corn, our judges, and of course all of us have had a chance to snack on it, so we appreciate that. All right, so we want to stay connected with you guys, and one of the ways we do this is our LinkedIn group. So who here is in a LinkedIn group? Raise your hand. Who here sees spam all through their LinkedIn groups? Keep your hand up. Most LinkedIn groups suck because they let anybody in and they get spammed. Ours is private, and we approve every person that gets in it. You have to be a Portland Startup Weekend alumni to be in the group. We don't allow spam. We try to make it very valuable. So it's a really long URL. I'm sorry. Just search. Go to LinkedIn, search the groups for PDXSW space alumni. You'll find the group. You all should have an invitation to it. We actually loaded it into LinkedIn earlier today. So join our group, stay in touch. Facebook.com/PDXSW. Twitter is @PDXSW. And, of course, on the web, portland.startupweekend.org. At that URL here pretty soon, you're going to hear about the next Startup Weekend event coming to Portland, and it's actually not going to be 6 months from now like it usually is. It's going to be early February, and Mercy Corps is doing Mercy Corps Startup Weekend to bring entrepreneurship into the social sphere and help people out technology for good. So there's going to be more information about that. Mercy Corps is a global partner of Startup Weekend. They signed a memorandum of understanding earlier this year. They've been bringing the Startup Weekend model to places like the Gaza Strip and Tibet, and they've had great success. And the local Mercy Corps team is going to be putting on an event, partly because they want to give back to the community, but partly as a way for them to kind of get more plugged into the great things that Startup Weekend's doing. So check out portland.startupweekend.org for information about that. Of course, our next main Portland event will be in approximately 6 months, and we'll let you know of any other events that are popping up. So, I got more slides, so you guys got to stay. I mentioned Dawn Marks Photography. She's donated her services, so if everyone would do me a favor. Yes. If everyone would do me a favor and go to Facebook and just search Dawn Marks Photography and like her page, you'll be able to stay on top of her services. If you need headshots for your new business, she's a great person to reach out to, and I'm sure she could work with you there. Or if you have an event, I'm sure she'd love to talk with you about selling her services. So thank you very much, Dawn, for being here. And I'm so glad the judges are here because I'm running out of things to say. Yeah, so we'll be posting some of the photos to the PDXSW Facebook and to the PDXSW Twitter, so make sure to be looking out for that. So give me 1 second to have Shashi whisper sweet nothings into my ear. Before Shashi whispers sweet nothings into my ear, I would like to invite Doug from Cloudability to come up. I mentioned kind of a last-minute sponsorship. So I had a chance to meet Doug through Startup Weekend. He's helped organize. He's participated. He now works with Cloudability, and they're a two-time sponsor. And Doug joined us tonight. And as I mentioned, we're going to do 6 months of premium membership to the best developer. Yeah. Why don't I hand it over to you?
Yeah. So we've got for the best developer, we've got a bag of swag and 6 months of our pro product for free. So I've been taking very diligent notes. We decided that the best developer, I was really impressed by the lead at Next Hop. So hearing that he was able to create an iPhone app out of never having done that before, I was really impressed. And I know that iPhone apps are really sexy and cool and a great way to make tons of dollars. So I said I was going to give you whatever money I had in my wallet, and you get this. So you also get this bag with some extra swag. So, yeah, awesome job. I thought one of the ideas out here was really cool because it was attacking something that wasn't the most monetarily rewarding, but I thought that it was really interesting the way that they were approaching the problem. So I have 2 T-shirts for the team from Due.Love. Here you go. And also, to move along with the quick ones, I've got one more, and this is for the coolest design. The guys from TripFind. I thought that your UI was really pretty. I've got a T-shirt for you, but yeah, I thought they did an awesome job with design and everything like that. And then also, as a company, we took advantage of PSF. We also took advantage of Pi, which is applications are opening up in March. They let us live there for a really long time until we could afford our own office. And also, half of our team has taken advantage of Startup Weekend. So it's an awesome event. Sashi and Jeff have done an awesome job with it. So, yeah, thank you.
All right. You guys want to see who the audience favorite is? And notice it's not on my screen right now. You guys ready for it? If I can get my mouse to work. I'm confused. I don't have to test beforehand. Somebody help me. I don't know what happened. Okay. Woo! Thank you, Shashi. Ah! Ah! Is that my self-trainer? Is that what that is? All right. Well then. Moving right along. Congratulations to my self-trainer. That's awesome. Okay. So we have domain.com t-shirts for my self-trainer for being the audience favorite. Okay, so I'm going to invite Diane to tell us a little bit about the third place. We'll do third, second, first. So Diane's going to tell us. Yes, we're going to do third, second, Launchpad first. Thank you.
Hello. In my hand I hold. So first, speaking for my colleagues here who have now learned that pregnancy is 9 months and it takes a village. We loved it. So you guys just did a phenomenal job. We absolutely loved it, and you all did a fantastic job at 54 hours of pitching this. I don't know how the hell you did it, but you really did great. So with no further ado, after much deliberation, I'm going to first announce the third place winner. And this was an interesting conversation because while I will say in all honesty that we think that this is a company that may have an issue scaling to be really, really big, we actually really liked the business model, we liked the market sector, and we liked the team, and that's a lot of what we always look for. So third place winner is going to Local Plate. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You could tell that they're all men because if it was the girls, they would have stood there and done a little bit of this and a little. Okay, moving on to the second place winner. So the second place winner, again, we really liked the team a lot, and this was an interesting team. But we liked the team a lot. We really liked the presentation. But I think most importantly, we saw this as an opportunity that could actually get big with some challenges. But something that we thought really was an issue. So second place winner is Foot in the Door. Congratulations, 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 congratulations. Miss Page, there you go. You're welcome. Launch side.
All right. So I have the opportunity to announce the launch side. Sorry for saying it wrong earlier. It's been a long, long weekend. I have the opportunity to announce the launch side prize. This is $5,000 of custom software development, and that goes to Due.Love. Come on up. Can I get launch side? Nathan, Chris, come take a picture. Oh, maybe we can get a picture of you guys over there by the Startup Weekend banner. Thank you. Pregnancy is 9 months. I think Nathan just wanted to he needed to learn more about it. All right. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Diane here for the announcement of the winning team of Portland Startup Week in November 2012. The team that's going to be entered in the Global Startup Battle and have a 1 in 130 chance of going to Rio, the Bay Area, and getting $15,000 worth of services. So remember, let's support this team afterwards. It's going to be crazy after this is announced because we're over and done with. So I'm going to ask you now, please, please, please help us clean up the building. Clean up your rooms, clean up this room. We don't pay for this. This is donated to us. So let's show them how much we appreciate what they've done by leaving the building in the same way it was when we found it. So the organizers, those of us that have to be back at work at our startups tomorrow morning, would really appreciate getting out of here a little bit earlier. So please help, please help. Sorry, it's my pet peeve. All right, here you go.
Okay, so we actually spent a good deal of time talking about who should be the winner for lots of reasons. But the reason that we chose this company was because even though all of you in this room are really, really early, I mean, you've got a lot of steps to go before you sort of get to coming to talk to me or Intel Cap or someone like that. We actually see a lot of potential for this company to actually maybe get really big. And nothing would make me happier than to see this company come see me in 6 to 9 months. So with that, we loved the team. We loved the idea. We thought that where they got was really clever. And the winner for the event tonight is Bug Shark.
Thank you. All right, that's it. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for your support. Congratulations, you guys. I feel like everyone's waiting for something. Did I miss something? Oh, thanks. I swear I did not plan that. Everyone was... All right, have a great rest of your evening. Congratulations to all 13 teams. Great work.